tinfoil hat.
Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Yeah, man. I mean, you're great, dude. It's great to have you on. It's always fun to discover new researchers. How long you been doing your show?
Well, yeah, I got a YouTube channel. It's been about 2 years or so not terribly long, but been at it for a while.
You and Ian Carroll just blowing up in 2 years, and everyone
so suspicious. Jiminy, my crypto advisor was telling me how suspicious it is. Fucking guy. Nimini Star Wars name, fucking Persian crypto bro.
What?
The guy who's saying, "Oh, how did Ian Carroll blow up?"
Yeah,
so quickly. Well, I'll tell you how. Because the stuff the IDF did was so horrific, and they bragged about it so openly that and also the Epstein thing. Where the hell's that?
Yeah.
Where there's a big Israel-shaped hole in it. It looks like to me. Where's the JFK shit? I mean, like, don't tell me Israel did that.
I'm with you. There's listen, Kurt.
Why would you hide it?
You've been in comedy a long time. I've been in comedy a long time. Like, we just see people blow up, and sometimes people are like, "Why is that happening?" And it's just the way it is. And
he was on TikTok. That's why.
And yeah, nobody knew him from TikTok. I go, "Where's Ian Carroll come from?" And all the hot chicks that follow me, all four of them, were just like, he's been on TikTok forever," and that's where he made his bones. And then he moved over to Twitter. So, I mean, could there be something? Sure. I don't know, but I've had him on the show. He's a good guy. And
wait, let me get this straight. So on TikTok, a guy with great hair did well.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
the
what a
guy's
mystery.
Like incredibly good looking. He's a Nephilim. And, you know,
how tall is he?
He's like 6'8", dude.
Ian Carroll is 6'8"?
Yeah, dude. He's like super tall.
That's fucking well, I had no idea. That is insane.
Yeah, and now do you think he's controlled up because he's that tall?
Well, look, you know how I know if you're controlled up? If you're lying to me. If you're telling me lies.
Yeah.
So point out Ian Carroll's lies.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hey, what if, let's say the worst case scenario, I can't imagine, Gutter. That's how you pronounce it, by the way, is Gutter. The nation of Gutter is paying Ian Carroll to tell us the truth about things. Good.
Yeah.
I don't like, oh, hey, do you think Russia hacked Hillary's emails? I got a better question. Who gives a fucking shit?
Yeah.
I want to see emails.
That they never talked about what was in the emails. It was only about they got hacked. I'm like, yeah, but what about what's in the emails?
Well, you can see what's in them. There's a lot of interesting shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, thank you, Russia. I mean, if that's real. But no, and then he kind of like introduced this new way, and I'm not saying he invented it, but he's the one who got kind of big off it, was this new way of disseminating information in like 5-minute, 10-minute clips, like deep dives into these things using, you know, CapCut and all that stuff. So, I mean, I understand it. Now,
his footnotes are on point. Look, if you got footnotes, now I'm not a guy who has footnotes. I
would always say that about you, Kurt.
So,
like that guy does not have footnotes.
Yeah, he's got actual things you could go, hey, I can find out if this is true or false.
Yeah.
And if your argument depends on not doing that, which is what most of the arguments now are dependent on, why did you platform him? Is it that? What would be the danger of platforming? Oh, I fucking hate millennials. Platforming, that's their word. No one can tell what's real or false. That's unbelievable to me. I don't believe it's true. Wait,
yeah, I don't either. But let me just say, if it does come out that, you know, there's a story that we all realize is true, and then Ian Carroll, you know, we all go right on the story, not politically, but just we take a right on it, and Ian Carroll goes left on it. Guess what? People will be meaning when if there comes a topic that Ian Carroll is obviously faking the funk on a nasty dunk, meaning that he's like
I
not
don't know
being
what anything
honest
you
about.
said means.
Yeah, I'm trying to describe it with a guy who flunked
There
first
must be
grade.
a simpler way to explain
No,
this.
I'm just saying there will be if he's controlled op, there will be
Then
a
he will
time where
say propaganda for the
Yes,
control
yes.
yes, just
And-
like they found out about Nigel Farage in the UK.
yeah,
It's like
100%.
RT. It's like Russia today. Best
about 'em?
news. Best news there is, except for a few stories on Russia. Everything else they report was fantastic. I still feel
And
it.
everyone's like, oh yeah. It's just
Wait,
stupid.
so wait, I never found out. I never found out why Andy's doing this.
Yeah,
We got on a tangent.
Well, I mean, like once you did the show, I started looking at some of Andy's stuff. I thought it was pretty amazing, and so I had Mark reach out and ask him if he wanted to do the show, and here he is, and probably he's about 5 minutes in regretting it.
I don't mean doing the show. I mean, I don't. I meant why? How come he has made that YouTube channel?
I just felt like it. I mean,
Well, where'd you come from?
Yeah,
I was like, you
no,
just got into this stuff.
Are you taking money from Qatar?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Are you taking gutter money, dog?
Nah, man, I just like I read a lot. I like reading. I've always liked reading, and just always read things that I want to look more into. And a lot of the topics I discuss on the channel aren't necessarily like super widespread or mainstream. There's not a lot out there about them.
Well, here's what I
And
took
so-
from it. You read a lot of Hustler. I just have a huge Hustler collection, and there's a lot of great info. And there is.
Dude, that is so interesting. But that also goes back to the Larry. What was the guy that you said?
Flint.
Larry Flint.
Yeah.
And you shattered my world when you told me that Ronald Reagan got pegged.
That was the rumor, at least. Yeah. Well, Larry Flint was like the mortal enemy of Ronald Reagan. He absolutely hated him. And like Hustler, they always ran like really good political stuff, conspiracy, like really good research articles. They hired a lot of researchers and writers away from like Time Magazine and Newsweek. And I actually got another video about this other magazine that Larry Flint started. It was called The Rebel.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good video. It
Who
was
moved
just
in with him again, Andy? When he was being drugged? It was G. Gordon Liddy and somebody?
G. and Gordon Liddy, Gordon Novell, who a lot of people think was involved in the Kennedy assassination. And there was a third guy. He was like this mercenary in Atlanta, Georgia. Boy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll think of it in a second. But yeah, they moved into his house. They thought he was being drugged. Larry Flint basically kind of went insane.
Dude, that's the Howard Hughes move. It's the same Howard Hughes thing.
Same thing.
As soon as you said more, I was watching it, but as soon as I heard Mormon mafia, I could not believe that was a thing that people were saying.
Yeah.
There's some deep, dark intel shit.
Oh.
Never mind fucking anything with Mossad or Israel. People blame the Jews for a lot, but dude, take a look at the Mormons sometime.
Yeah. Listen, I know this is going to
Before
sound
you
nuts.
blame one group for everything, the Mormons are involved in. It's in Inherent Vice, that Joaquin Phoenix movie based on the Tom Pynchon novel, right? Yeah. That's like an old joke that they were always feds because they didn't supposedly do drugs, right? And they follow orders.
Oh, that's so funny. So, and I know Q is whatever Q is. I think it's Operation Trust. I'm not bringing it up. But there was a running theme in Q about, all these like patriots in control going to the Mormons and looking for support through their court system. There was a big running theme on that.
I never looked into Q ever. Do you know that? And then later I was like, as a point of pride, because a lot of stuff from like 30 years ago got somehow swept into it. Like, let's say it's fake. They clearly are taking things that were disclosed many years ago.
Yeah, it's Operation Trust.
What?
It's called Operation Trust, where they it's basically what they do is the intelligence agency or whatever group, it tells you, gives you actual data, gives you real data because they're trying to corral the paranoids, the people who are going to cause problems. They're trying to corral them into this kind of like, hey, dude, don't worry. We got this, man. The Patriots in control. And like, you have to tell them the truth because they're super paranoid. So like all this stuff that kind of happened during Joe Biden stuff, everyone who followed Q knew all about it because they told them about it. And I said that earlier. It's like,
You better hope that. By the way, at this point, it's probably your only hope, unless you are, is that there's the Patriots are on this one because it's already fucked now. I can't believe how fast that took.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, just the bottom fell out. Listen, very excited, very excited. We're live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver adjacent studios. Go to samtripoli.gold, use the promo code tinfoil, and you can get in on the precious metal game for as little as $50 a month. And I'm going to be in Detroit at the end of the week, at the end of the month, and then I'm going to be in Tacoma, Washington, doing gigs with Eddie Bravo and Xavier Guerrero if he gets on a plane. So go to samtripoli.com. Know him is to love him. He is truly the bowl of truth. Kurt Metzger, welcome, buddy. How are you?
You could say the bowl of
the bowl. Like a bowl. The bowl. Yeah, you're like a bowl in a china shop. You just do a gacker of Adderall and just go crazy. You're saying
that's bowl you like you would eat cereal out of.
No. Yeah.
This is interpreted
the bowl
every
of
single
truth.
day.
You're your cereal of truth, bro. And
don't call me bowl. You're a plate, motherfucker.
Very excited to have him on. Again, Kurt came on the show, talked about his YouTube channel, his website, and everyone ran and checked it out. Kurt also talked about it on the Joe Rogan Experience, and we're here to have him. His website is Control Alt History. Please welcome Andy Hunt. How are you, brother?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, man.
Andy, for those who may not be familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where our listeners can find you? Yeah,
so primarily on YouTube, got a YouTube channel, Control Alt History, and just kind of talk about interesting things from history. It's no real like set theme. A lot of people might label some of the things I talk about conspiracies, but a lot of them really aren't. They're just kind of stories that have been forgotten about and haven't really been covered, over the past few years. So we get into things like the disappearance of Howard Hughes and a whole bunch of other things, Tylenol murders from the 80s, and it kind of spans primarily in the 70s through the 90s, 1970s through the 90s, but we also talk about some older stuff too.
What I find interesting about what you just said is like old stories that people don't know about. And I would tell you that what happens in society right now is that most people label anything they don't know as conspiracy.
Absolutely.
Like, these are the data are there. The data is there. You just don't know about it. And in this time of being arrogant about your ignorance, you just you label it a conspiracy or whatever label you want to call it. If you're a normal person, you call it conspiracy. And then if you're a conspiracy person, you call it black pill. Right. That's kind of how it goes. Right. So you want to label something you don't want to hear. Those are the terms. So, yeah, man, I think that's something we go through right now. The stuff that Ian Carroll talked about on Rogan, I think everyone knew about, at least probably in the 4 squares on the show, the 4 rectangles. We all knew about it, and the fact that everyone's having this insane reaction to it. It's just nuts to me because, it's like Brian Callen, a good friend of mine. He'd always call me up going, where do you get your news from? And I'm like, the streets, dog. The streets are talking. And it looks like you do some deep, deep dives. What got you kicked off on this? And then we'll get into some of the stories you wanted to talk about.
Well, I mean, as far as the conspiracies go, I guess like kind of looking into things happened like kind of when Trump ran for office the first time in 2016. I always just watched the news and read the news up to that point. And then kind of when Trump ran, you just couldn't find any like unbiased coverage of it or anything. I mean, it was just constant negative articles. And that kind of like, I guess, broke the spell of, believing the news or relying on the news for your news. And I think once that happens, you kind of have more of an open mind and you look elsewhere for stories or you look elsewhere to see if there's more to things that are being covered in the news. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And then a couple years ago, just kind of randomly decided to start making videos about some of these topics I was reading about in books and whatnot that I couldn't really find, much info about. A lot of there's at least many of the topics I talk about, like the video that I have on my channel is about one of the only videos on all of YouTube about that topic. So
which topic is that?
Oh, so, some of them. I mean, I don't like, for instance, the very first video I did was about the Vicky Morgan scandal in the 80s. And that's the one you're talking about with Reagan. And like, I mean, that's like the biggest political scandal potentially of all time.
Yes,
And
dude.
there
There
was
was
just
no internet. That's
nothing.
all it is. There's no internet. You had to
Yeah.
get porno to see things. You had to buy Hustler.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if like 'cause back then, especially the only source for news was a newspaper, was, ABC, CBS. There wasn't even no cable TV back then,
Dude,
really.
that's how I know. That's why I believe that Kathy O'Brien book, because when I first heard of her, I told you I was young, and it was in a Wall Street Journal, and all these wild accusations about being used as a sex slave by Cheney and Bush and Reagan and all them. And
Yeah.
she testified in front of Congress, and he classified a bunch of it. Or the
Yeah.
national security. That's, dude, I mean, just compare that to some shit now that's from Twitter. This isn't
Right.
like some Twitter wild accusation. This is like Congress sat and listened to this and listened to the name of these programs like Monarch.
Yeah.
So now, and as soon as the thing they're not talking, whenever the thing they're not talking about, that's what I want to hear. So that's why I like your channel, because I kind of do remember Gemstone, but not really. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's one of them things that you like, yeah, I kind of heard that. Think, oh, this is probably the thing that happened. Like as soon as you see it.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, man, it's
yeah.
it's always interesting to kind of look at, because a lot of this stuff was, written and talked about and happened at least before the internet. So it's always kind of interesting to like re-examine it with access to the internet and
You
like
can see why
newspaper
they're
archives.
shocked. You can see
Yeah.
why they're so shocked, because it's always wored before.
Yeah.
Same horse shit has worked.
Yeah, you're
And-
totally right. It all
Yeah,
worked
and
before.
this stupid internet thing that, besides whatever CERN gets out of it first, and then whatever they thought they could do, I guess some kind of crowd control with it. I think something backfired big time. Something really backfired with it, which is great. I don't know if Cube mentioned that happening, but you could see
There,
it's
there are
happening.
things in there that are very interesting. Obviously, everybody in the truther community is just up in arms hearing this right now. But again, Operation
what?
Trust. Well, that there were things in there that right now today is people are talking about openly, was talked about in that what was going on in Ukraine, servers.
Dude, I just found
Hunter
this out.
Biden was, dude, everyone knew about Hunter Biden. Like real deep dives into Hunter Biden, on cue, all that stuff. Again, to corral the paranoid and the conspiracy theorists into this kind of group over here. I
How do you know? Well, if
and Kurt, let me say one thing. I do believe that it was an attempt to see if AI could connect with people. It's written in a very much a way that has an AI feel to it. That
okay, wait. So I made a bad joke before. I don't know if I said it to you or not when you were here, but like, do you think they've been holding off on the disclosure of JFK and all this stuff because they were working on an AI to come up with a believable enough lie for everybody? Because
no,
human
that's
writing?
not what I think it is. I
They
think
need the
they're
computer
holding.
to tell them something, because I
No,
don't
no,
want to tell them.
But Kurt, listen to me. When the Q drops happened, regardless of what you think about them,
I
it
didn't
was
think
be-
anything of them. Didn't look at
right,
them.
right. But when it did come out, AI was just a theory that was coming. Well, oh, AI's coming, it's coming, and here it is talking in this weird kind of not haiku, but whatever it was in the style they said it was, and could people read it, decipher it, what it was saying? You see, these people blew up just breaking down these Q drops in a way that I mean, part of me goes, they were beta testing AI on us to see if it could
It's like an
connect with
AI curator of certain facts mixed in with other stuff.
Yeah, and the people are like, well, all that stuff's out there. Like, well, what it did was it put it all
So
together.
wait, what did Q say about lizard people at any point? Anything? Nothing?
We'll save Israel for last. That's what it said. I think it was said that to be.
Well, I don't understand why Roseanne likes Q when she's very pro-Israel. I haven't really talked to her about it since then.
She's an interesting person.
Yeah, Roseanne told me, I still have to ask her about it. I haven't seen her. She told me she was raised Orthodox Jewish and Mormon. And I go, that's weird. She goes, yeah. And I didn't understand the significance of that until now. But tying it with the Mormon mafia thing, running, dude,
Yeah.
I would say look up J.R. Sweet. You can find his interviews from Idaho Mormon family.
Yeah.
MormonMonarch.org. I would read that whole thing. It's wild when he talks about, it corroborates a lot of the Kathy O'Brien stuff, but there's a bunch of stuff that
Really?
corroborates all these people. Those shooters
Yeah.
of the Trump shooters obviously are some kind of programmed. The one guy, Thomas Crooks, whether he's a patsy or the shooter, doesn't matter to me. His parents are behavioral modification therapists.
Oh my
You know
God,
that?
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
My God.
And that's why there's no fucking silverware and it's all scrubbed and blah, blah, blah. So he's got programmed. The other weird guy with the 2 different colored hair that was mad about Ukraine, that's obviously another one of them. Dude, the guy that shot the president of Slovakia, this one's eerie because, I don't know if I told you this last time, but President of Slovakia, we showed him on Jimmy's show talking about investigating Pfizer and not giving any more to Ukraine. And I was like, but this guy wants to get shot. I made a joke like that, okay? And 2 months later, he got shot by like a 72-year-old man with no history of violence. Yeah. And I'm like, and then if I go look at the history of the presidents, going back to Johnson, they've been sending wind-up Sirhan toys since well before the CIA was invented. That goes way. In fact, I think in The Man Who Would Be King, at the end when the girl bites the guy's face because she's been drugged by the priest, you ever see The Man Who Would Be King or read it? The Rudyard Kipling book about 2 Freemasons in Afghanistan to become kings of some Afghan tribe somewhere. And the guy declares he's God, and then this chick goes up who's going to marry. And but she's been drugged by like whatever his priest class is to like bite him, and but those are ancient forms of mind control. Yeah, I told you last time that Dalai Lama, that's a kid that got repatterned. Yeah, 100%. Brainwash a kid to think he's a guy who's now about 700 or 800 years old. So they've had the same president for like almost 1,000 years. Oh yeah, no, that sounds like a democracy. That sounds like way better than China. I'm sure it was better than when China was there. The fuck out of here.
No, I'm with you, dude. And I didn't
guess
know
who's in
that.
Syria killing Christians along with ISIS? The Uyghurs. The precious Uyghurs are working, doing terror shit.
Yep.
Yeah, because it turns out there are a bunch of, the way people talk about Muslims here or in England, right? You could safely talk that way about them in China. And it turns out they have the same issues because the same agencies around the world keep making wind-up toy terrorists and causing problems.
Hey guys, chaos is everywhere. And who knows what's going to happen with these markets? We got like, is the Fed going to be here? The Fed not going to be here? Tariffs, you name it. It's economic chaos. And the one thing that never changes, only gets better, is precious metals. And that's why I want to tell you about our good friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. Let me tell you about Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. If you're paying attention, you know the de-dollarization is real. Fiat is fake, and you don't want to be left holding the bag when the dollar collapses. Gold and silver have been money through all of recorded history and are an excellent way to protect yourself from inflation and geopolitical turmoil. That's why I trust my friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver for all precious metals, all things precious metals. I love it. I am part of the Wolf Pack. Every month I have precious metals sent right to my house, and I love it. See, Wise Wolf Gold and Silver is veteran owned and A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. No transaction is too big or too small. You can even roll over your 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver. And if you think you can't afford precious metals, think again. With the Wolfpack monthly membership program, you can get gold and silver delivered directly to your door for as little as $50 a month. As little as $50 a month, you can have precious metals. You start loading it up, man. By the end of the year, you'll have a good chunk of precious metals. Dude, it's crazy. You just go to samtripoli.gold. You can see all the different plans they have. Man, it's like $50. Lone Wolf, Warrior Wolf, $125. Alpha Wolf is $250. And it just keeps going up. Sent to your house. Right there. It's that simple. It's that simple. Easy peasy. Get in, get out, get your gold, get your silver. I love it. I'm doing it. Dude, I'm telling you. All of these affiliates I use, and I use Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. I use it all the time. It's real simple. So if you want to get in, this is how you do it. Wise Wolf Gold and Silver also deals in and accepts Bitcoin. So here's what I need you to do. Okay, go to samtripoli.gold, promo code tinfoil at checkout to receive free constitutional silver. That's right. And remember, in a world of bulls and bears, be the wolf. Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our good friends at Helix Sleep. That's right, they've been sponsoring the show forever, and we love them. Everybody here sleeps on a Helix mattress because they are the best of the best. It's the most easiest thing you ever do. You take the Helix Sleep Quiz, it lets you know exactly, ask you the questions to figure out the exact mattress that is right for you, and bang, bang, pow. I get into the Midnight Lux. I love that one. Sometimes, maybe I like it firm. Maybe I like it soft. You can find out just by answering all of these questions, dude. It's just that simple. And this is the best part. You don't have to go down to those shady money laundering mattress stores. Nope. Get sent right to your house.
Dude, I'm a side sleeper. And after I do the magic, I took a test and I'm a side sleeper. And I like the Helix Deluxe.
When you said you did the magic, is that making love after you got done making love?
Yeah, and then I like to sleep on my side because I'm so tired, just night.
Yeah, that's how it is, buddy. That's how it is. That's how it is. When you're in illegal, you make loves, and then you sleep sideways. That's how it goes. It's just that simple. How about you, Johnny?
I love my Helix mattress. I've had it for years. It's dated all the way back to the days of Punch Drunk being sponsored by Helix. It's it's fabulous, and it is just as soft and comfortable as the day I received it.
It's just that simple. It's like, this is why we had to get Helix as a sponsor.
It's very simple. You send them money and they will send you a mattress.
A mattress, the best mattress ever, dude. Hey, look who has 2 kids. This guy right here. Do you think it's after I got my Helix? Yeah. I got another Helix too. I love these Helix. I just can't stop getting Helixes. I love them. It's the best. You spend most of your time sleeping. Why not? Dana loves it. The dogs love it. I love it. It's the best. So this is what we need you to do. We need you to go to Helix Sleep. That's HelixSleep.com/tinfoil. Okay. And this is what we need you to do. You go use that promo code. It's real simple, dude. You get 20% off site-wide. That's everywhere. Wow. All the time. Bang, bang, pow. It's just that simple. If you love the show, support the people who support the show. Go to, again, one more time, HelixSleep.com/tinfoil and get use the promo code tinfoil and you'll get 20% off statewide. It's just that simple. And we want to thank Helix for sponsoring the show. You got to listen to Jim Lee, dude. We've had him on the podcast a couple times. He talks about weather modification. And he basically talks about radio waves and about how at any moment there's probably about 3,000 assassins out there that don't even know they're programmed to do it.
That's Monarch, dude. That's Monarch. But some of them are old. So the guy, in this is Kathy's book now, they're like the female sex slaves are supposed to be dead by 30. Okay? Like the 27 club, like rock stars have. But they all die around the same age. That's weird. It must be just, I don't know. Once you start noticing, I see what's happening here. And you realize just mafia shit. Yep. It all boils down to the mafia. So how's the mafia run a business? And they make you an offer you can't refuse. And
but it even goes deeper than that. It goes all the way back to Nazis and just all the stuff that we just did Operation Gladio and just it's still there. The whole system's still there. They just have different, they have almost secret intelligence agencies that are a form of secret societies, and they all just run different operations here and everything. NATO is just a giant crime organization, and that's all it is. And that's why it's for every time Trump does something, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? He does 2 things. You're like, yeah, I would do that too if I could. And then
so his deal, clearly the deal that he made was when they were doing the lawfare against him, and it was to make him broke so he couldn't run again. Okay, and hopefully get him in prison, just anything, just throwing whatever you can at the wall. And so remember they were saying how he got that judgment against him and now he's going to be broke and he can't. And next thing you know, his stocks went over $1 billion. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Suddenly it was like Roadrunner cartoon. It was hilarious. Well, that's the widow Adelson. So that's Israel money. So he made a deal. He's a guy that makes deals. And he goes, listen, you could do any crazy shit you want. whatever the hell you want, you got it. Just back me up. And Israel took that deal. So from Trump's standpoint, I imagine
Trump took the deal. Trump took the deal, right? They were
He made a
basically
deal.
like, we're going to
I think
bail
he
you
made a
out
deal with them.
again. We're going to
He
bail
made a
you
deal
out
with them.
again.
What?
They said we're going to bail you out again. They bailed him out in the 80s, and then they said they were going to bail you out again.
I think, I don't know, because he wasn't talking, well, whatever. The whole bottom line is that Widow Adelson's the money, that money was like the big,
yeah.
but it's, anyway, so you can see the deal. So suddenly, hey, we're going to cut all this crap, right? So they cut USAID, good, Department of Education, get it the fuck out, good. All right. So from his aspect is we got to get all the woke crap out. Okay. Yes, obviously, but I don't consider that a big achievement if you get woke shit out. That's baseline normal society that I should get to have. That I'm not going to praise you because everybody stop being crazy. Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you for stop being fucking retards for 2 seconds. Oh, what's it today? It's the morning in America. So fuck that. And then the thing of letting you have all your speech back, except if you want to protest, I don't know, an obvious hypocritical, let's be nice and call it an ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
Even though by the Nuremberg laws, it is a genocide. By the laws written to prevent that sort of thing, it is. But I wouldn't say that because I'm not anti-Israel. I'll just call it a ethnic cleansing on a false pretense because your prime minister supported that group more than anybody who tweeted. You scumbags prime minister paid them for 20 years. Fuck you. It's in Wikipedia. The Eugenics race, that's how much of an established fact it is that Wikipedia couldn't edit it out.
Yep.
They take everything out. But that must be so well corroborated that it was impossible to do.
Yep. 100%. And I agree with you.
So anyway,
Andy,
that's what you're saying.
Yep. So a long journey back to Andy and his website and his you have 2 big fans here who are super excited to talk to you. 3 big fans.
Dude, I want
Andy,
to ask you about Stoner Boners to Bone.
okay, so you have
yeah.
Okay, so Andy has some stories he wants to talk about, but I would like for you to ask anything you want.
Tell yours first.
No. Don't do that.
I'll talk about whatever.
Yeah. What did you want to talk to him about, Kurt?
Well, if he has new stories, I want to know those. I need to go back. You watch a video, see that one I said.
Okay, so he wanted to go into the LA Laker murder. And I would love to hear that story because it was such a big story in the show that they had in about the Lakers. Showtime, was it, or Winning Time? Winning Time. And which ended very unceremoniously because it really did show, like, I mean, first of all, they completely made up stories, right? That, like, the whole genie bus thing wasn't even real.
He's like the smartest 17-year-old ever. Yeah.
They just made up stories.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like the whole show was built on that genie bus was like
running
centering
the Lakers
everybody.
at 16 or whatever. Yeah.
And like I don't want to say anything. I mean, Jay Moore married him. God bless. Married a genie bus. Married a billionaire. Good job for you, buddy. But this has been a big thing that they like to do with Jeannie Buss. They want to make her into this kind of super duper like genius, and then the NBA has to completely destroy the competitive balance of the NBA by sending an all-time great to them to save the season, like Luka. And then they act like they're like, oh, we just negotiated so well. Like, bro, you got handed that, you fucking rich kid.
I don't know anything about the LA Lakers, so I have no.
So, but you're gonna love this story.
Okay.
So, so basically, this was a storyline in there. I'm Armenian. I went to UNLV specifically
Oh, no kidding.
because Jerry Tarkanian was the coach, and I'm like, dog, he's Armenian, I'm Armenian, let's go. So that's one of the big reasons I went. The other one, I got brainwashed by my father to move there, but that's a whole nother story. But so let's get into this story.
Yeah, it's pretty wild story. There's a lot more to it than what was shown in that TV show, which is usually the case. But yeah, in 1979, so Jerry West was the coach of the Lakers. He resigned. Jerry Buss had just bought the team and drafted Magic Johnson. And so he had decided the new coach was going to be Jerry Tarkanian of UNLV, really good college coach. And so Jerry Tarkanian's agent was a guy named Victor Weiss. And Victor Weiss went to LA, met with Jerry Buss and like the Lakers general manager and a few people. Met with them on I think it was June 14th in 1979. And then he met with them to negotiate a contract for Jerry Tarkanian. And then after that meeting, he went missing. And they found him 3 days later. He'd been shot twice in the head. His hands were tied behind his back, and his body was stuffed into the trunk of his Rolls Royce. And so it was a pretty obvious mob killing. And so again, this is Jerry Tarkanian's agent. And so they started kind of like investigating this guy. He has like all these shady connections. He was really heavily involved in the mob. He was a lot of people came forward and said what this Victor Weiss guy was, in addition to being an agent for Jerry Tarkanian, he was a bagman for some mafia people. They found all these phone records linking him to this place called the Gold Rush in Vegas, which was owned by Tony Spilotro.
Yeah,
was
right.
like a really famous gangster. Joe Pesci's character in Casino was based on Tony Spilotro.
Yeah.
And like the scene
Anthony
where
the Ant Spilatro. Yeah.
yeah. And the scene where Pesci's character crushes the guy's head in a vice. Supposedly that's a true story. Like Tony Spilotro actually did that. And so he's not a good guy. He was associated with Victor Weiss, all these phone calls between them. And so basically it was kind of like, well, this guy was the bag man delivering money. He would always, every week, he would fly from LA to Vegas and he would have one bag with him. And then he would leave the bag in Vegas and then he'd fly back empty handed. So, the common thought was that he was delivering money on behalf of the mafia. But where the whole story, so that's crazy enough. But then where the whole story got really interesting is he was working as the bag man for this guy, Carroll Rosenblum. And Carroll Rosenblum owned the LA Rams. And so the question then became like, well, how was this owner of the LA Rams making all this illegal money? Was he betting on NFL games? Was he fixing NFL games even? And so it kind of opened up this whole can of worms. And right around that time, this informant went to the Houston office of the FBI, gave him a list of 10 games and said the referees in these games during the 1978 NFL season, the referees in these games were each paid $100,000 to throw the games. And he listed out the game. I featured in the video, the list of games. And in each one, the team that the game had been fixed for covered the spread and won. So it was a 10-0 thing. And so, like, this Carroll Rosenblum guy, I did a separate video on him because, like, his story is wild. He's always been kind of associated. He owned a casino in Cuba. He's always been linked to, like, underground figures. He was accused
He owned
of,
a
like,
casino in Cuba?
Yeah. And he owned an NFL team.
Oh, my God.
What was his
I
name?
know.
What was his name?
Carroll Rosenblum.
So Jewish mafia. Jewish mafia.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
But
the
then that
real
means,
mafia. The real mafia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Was he connected to what? Was he like with Sinatra in any way?
Lansky too. Meyer Lansky.
Or is that
Definitely.
like because Spilatro's later?
Yeah, so Carroll Rosenblum, he married this lady, Georgia Frontier. She was the owner of like the St. Louis Rams when they won the title. But he married her. She inherited the team when he died. And it was always said that Meyer Lansky was the one who introduced him at a party hosted by Jack Kennedy, JFK's dad. Because
snaps!
Yeah, because like Carroll Rosenblum was best friends with the Kennedys. So, I mean, all these stories, like, once you start looking into them real deep, they all like kind of interconnect. But what's really
go on.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no.
Okay,
I'll talk after.
Well, what's really interesting is kind of they started investigating this NFL gambling scheme, and Carroll Rosenblum, I did a separate video on him because he suspiciously died right around this time. He drowned in the ocean. He went swimming every day in Florida. He was a very accomplished swimmer. The dude drowned in the ocean, died, and there's a whole bunch of mystery surrounding his death.
I have a rule that you never, if you work with the mob, you never go swimming. Just never, ever swim.
Yeah, probably a good, or go in the bathtub. You see a lot of people drowning in bathtubs too.
Yeah. It's very interesting because right now there is a giant gambling scandal going on right now. Now, is it with your team or is he on Miami now? But Terry Rozier is basically getting accused of point shaving, which is interesting because he's making really great money.
Really?
Which is
Well, he'd been playing great for Charlotte, and he didn't play another game. He just suddenly got shut down at the end of like 2 seasons ago by the Hornets, who I mean desperately needed him at the time, and he got shut down, and then he got shipped off the next year, probably maybe their second, third best player. He'd been playing really well, and then it came out like a year later, that he was being looked into for shaving points that season. So,
like you've seen that happen. They've had a couple scandals now in the NBA of point shaving, which is so crazy because these guys are making so much money.
No, that tells you it must be just an insane. Either they're in debt gambling, or it's an insane amount of money they're being offered.
Well, it's probably debt, and also if you're connected to whoever, you're going to do as you're told. If they got something on you, you got to do. You know,
they're doing something with your family too.
Like, I mean, about a bunch of these guys get caught in a situation where, like, you know, Kobe Bryant, for example, I didn't know that he probably did do that shit. Okay. Because the PR machine made it sound like so opposite of what the facts of the case were. Okay. So just think of him. A bunch of these guys are like that. They're all like wife beaters and serial, you know, like Nephilim rapists. Like, it's probably very easy to get compromised one. Especially get him in your casino. Dude, Rogan told me, I told you maybe last time, he was getting invites to go to like Chase Manhattan Bank things to speak in New York. And he's like, why? I'm like, why? Because I don't know, they could drug me or something.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke. Like, he's smart to not go, because even if it's not like that, it's still going to be something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're going to give you a chance to be cool right now.
Yeah. You don't want to hear the offer you can't refuse. You never want to hear that offer.
Well, you know, you had that adult film star going on Michael Porter Jr. show talking about all the weird stuff that NBA players are into now, because they've had every woman they've ever wanted since they were 14 years old. Once you're like LeBron James acting like he's a press is hilarious, because he's been a famous person since he's 14 years old, and everyone's been throwing everything at them the whole time. And, you know, he's got that giant boule tattoo on his chest.
Went to college.
Yeah.
That's a frat tattoo. And the guy never went to college.
Yeah, which is crazy, because, you know, they do it with a bunch of people and they just see who sticks. And I guarantee you they did it with people like Andrew Wiggins, who just didn't pan out the way they want to. I mean, allegedly, they might have done it.
You know how that works. That boule thing is, it's like a frat. First of all, it's just like a frat. First and foremost, a fraternity, like from a college or something. I didn't know that. Steve Coakley, if you look up Steve Coakley, he was like a black Alex Jones guy out of Chicago that broke down every member of this thing. The talented 10th, W.E.B. Du Bois called them. And it's like this class horse shit where like you can kill the rest of us. Some of us are the good ones, and we'll just like they do with the white people, just like everybody's. So you're dummy if you have any kind of race loyalty, because the people at the top of your little tribe,
100%,
they look at you as an expendable pawn at all times, and you're supposed to be absorbed into their ambitions, whatever those may be. You're such a.
You're so right.
Yeah.
They're apex predators.
And so that's So that's the thing. Like, all these little groups are like, oh, we should, especially once you get like, you know, like in Goodfellas, where he's like talking about how great it was to be a mobster. A mafia, and that's like low class shit. That's like working man Illuminati. That's not like, you know, the high end.
Right.
The high end is, you know, like beyond. You don't have to worry about the feds, because you are the fucking feds. You know,
you're totally right, dude. We live in a society where the criminals are also the prosecutors.
That one chick who's trying to get those files out of Vivek, the guy that Ramaswamy does, Kash Patel, and
yeah.
What's her name?
You're just yelling Indian names at this point.
Attorney General Pamby. That chick Luna. You saw the thing that happened with her, where her opponent was he's recorded saying he's going to have her killed.
Oh,
and,
was that? It was,
and then he was being backed by the Knights of Malta, which I don't really know too much about what the Knights of Malta is, but it's just a bizarre. He goes, "Hey, this is serious. These people are serious money," and you got blah blah, and it's a whole thing. And then who's that chick from? Was it Arizona, where the guy told her the boys back east, "I want you to run"? Remember that recording?
Carrie Lake.
Yep. These little things leak out where you see like the guy behind the curtain, just like a little bit, like the emissary, and then they're forgotten. And that's why his channel's great. Oh, bonus to bone, by the way. So I remember growing pains. I didn't know that was Chekhov from Star Trek's kid was Boner.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's a
I've
crazy
never heard of that
story.
Star Child forum.
Oh
When is that
yeah.
from?
It's from this site called Godlike Productions.
And it's
It's
when
just like a
what's her
message.
name was still big.
Simpson, Jessica.
It's when Jessica Simpson, and I always remember
Yeah.
Jessica Simpson, like her dad was weird as hell. Her dad couldn't.
Yeah. Oh
Was
yeah.
such a lot of these people have some weird where you're like, this is some kind of incest, culty, ritual abuse parent.
Yeah.
Just the feel of them is like that. Pretty much all these
Yeah.
things.
Oh
It's
yeah.
kinda, but Jessica Simpson, so it was mostly having to do with Jessica Simpson, but then it suddenly spiraled into like Satanist shit.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like people being controlled and getting blackmail material on people who are in the spotlight. That's kind of what it was this message board thread from 2008. And that's what it kind of was all about. It started out, there was this message board thread, and this guy who claimed he had a friend who worked for MTV. He started the thread, and he said his friend's job working for MTV was installing hidden cameras in the house that Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey lived in. And it wasn't like the cameras that we were walking around with and
Right,
filming them.
right,
It was
right.
like hidden cameras in the bedroom, hidden
That's a
cameras in
producer
every room.
decision.
Yeah. So, but anyway, this guy, his friend, apparently was hired to do that. He did it. And then the cameras, this guy claimed, captured some really, really bad stuff, like horrible stuff. And it wasn't Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson, he said it, because they were studio executives in and out of the house. It was a massive
Oh,
mansion. Because
wait,
the house
like
was
on the
given
Back to the
them.
Future set? Like how they'd say about the Back to the Future set that a bunch of execs were in there molesting kids on the set because it's like
Oh,
a fun
really?
kids movie set. Crispin Glover and the first girlfriend of Marty McFly were the only people that like said something and had a real problem with it and didn't work again for 20 years.
Wow. That's interesting because Michael J. Fox wasn't originally in Back to the Future.
Yeah, it was
some other
Stoltz,
guy.
but that
Oh,
could be
yeah.
just a legit casting call because Eric Stoltz was not
It
on
was
Marty
good.
McFly.
It was bad. Yeah.
That could just be a legit.
I'm
call.
sorry to laugh at that story. So did he ever say what was the weird shit they saw in the house?
Well, so yeah, so the guy mentioned it, and then he said it captured some really bad stuff. It wasn't really Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey. There were other celebrities, studio executives in and out of that house doing really bad stuff.
To
And
kids?
what happened? They didn't.
Or to each other? Or was it
Uh,
dad? He never said what it was?
Were they
No, he
furries?
never
Because that's
did.
the darkest thing I can.
Furries
Were
are
they
pretty bad.
yiffing?
Dude, if you saw Jessica Simpson as a woodchuck, your whole world would be shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met her in person when she was dating what's his name? The guitarist, John, Fathers Be Good to Your Daughters. What's his goddamn name?
Don Mayer. Yeah.
I mean, I know him. I don't know why I'm blanking on his dumb name.
Don
But
Mayer. Yeah.
she
John
was
Mayer.
in person. It was like if you talk to her, it was like the amount of like raw, like sexual pheromone charisma that she throws out was enormous. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like the weirdest. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, she really threw that kind of charisma out hard. And not like, I don't think she was intentionally being any kind of way, but she was very nice when I met her. But it was like this strong kind of thing. Like, and I remember John Mayer got in trouble because he called her sexual napalm in Playboy.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about
Because,
that.
napalm sticks to you and burns. He was just being a great songwriter when he said that. I don't know why everybody was so offended. Anyway,
Hey guys, real quick, I'm tell you about one of our favorite sponsors on the show, and that's MeUndies. Here's the thing about being a guy, okay? We pretty much are stuck with what we got appearance-wise. Male makeup, was it going to go with my powdered wig? A peck push-up bra? Huh. What would the bros say? What would my friends say if I came with a peck push-up bra? Okay, Megan's that accentuate this caboose. That is my ass, okay? Dude, there's kids around here. Finally, MeUndies is unveiling their latest gifts to help men feel big. The Contour Pouch and Ball Caddy. Let's go, bro. The micro model sling keeps things separate and lifted. 9 out of 10 women swear this sophisticated brief technology will make you look huge, and that's all matters, right? Dude, you got to have big junk. Big junk, dude. Big junk. Why not, dude? Xavier, come on. You're trying to find a wife. Big junk it out.
Yeah,
Chunky
dude.
monkey down there.
I think I'm wearing the wrong underwear. I got to go with MeUndies. Got to show them the bulge.
Listen, they got styles for everyone from black classics to fun, expressive prints. I love that MeUndies has a look for everyone. Plus, they come in sizes X, S, super small to super big. Damn! Guaranteed flattering cut for everybody. Versatile loungewear. MeUndies isn't just about underwear. Explore the lounge collection featuring joggings, hoodings, onesies, and more. Unmatched comfort. MeUndies signature fabric is as soft as a warm hug from your favorite sweater. It's breathable, stretchy, and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all day weather. Responsibly sourced, they sustained source materials and work with partners that care for their workers. That's right. No sweatshops working on this dick cage. I'll tell you that right now, okay? Hey man, you're not happy with your first pair of MeUndies? Guess what? It's on MeUndies. That's how great it is, okay? Good things come in big packages at MeUndies. Get 20% off your first order plus free shipping on orders of $75 or more at MeUndies.com/tinfoil. And then enter the promo code tinfoil. That's MeUndies, UNDIES.com/tinfoil, code tinfoil for 20% off. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in, and we thank them for sponsoring this show. So they didn't say exactly what happened in the house.
No, so what happened was the guy who set up the cameras after they captured really bad footage, he stole the tapes and he went on the run and he was supposedly preparing to release it onto the internet. And so this guy was kind of posting on his behalf. And he would kind of give it, it's referred to as the Star Child thread. I did a video about it. And he kind of gives like running updates about his friend who's on the run with these tapes because he doesn't really know what to do. He knows he can't really go to the police because a lot of it's pretty compromised too, or at least the LA police. He obviously can't go to the media. They'll cover it up. So he's trying to figure out, because even like social media wasn't like that huge at this time. I mean, it was out there, but it wasn't as big as it is now. And then like the whole thread is just absolutely fascinating. It just kind of evolved into like all these people talking about just how prevalent like blackmail is in Hollywood and in like the entertainment circle, how like this wasn't an isolated event, setting up these hidden cameras. Like this happens everywhere. They talked about how everything that is going back to the Rogan saying he turned down the speaking offer. So like all these hotel rooms are wired with cameras and like things that are they give you a free car, but they've bugged it or give you something and it has a hidden camera. Like it gets really crazy. And then anyways, this one poster started and it was just a whole bunch of different people contributing to the thread, telling all these insane stories about their experience in Hollywood. And then this one poster, he went by the name Starchild, went by like the, username. He started posting about and really getting into like Satanism in Hollywood and how he was from a very famous family and his father had just been completely horrible to him, put him through just all these crazy like satanic rituals and sex rituals. And he would just post about like the things he'd been forced to do. And it's really sad and it's pretty awful. But anyway, people
he said he was an actor. Or no, I remember he said he wanted to get away and be a park ranger.
Yeah, he said he wanted to get
his
away.
dad told him he's like, you're not going to talk.
You're not going to waste my legacy on being a park ranger. No son of mine will do that. And so people kind of started trying to figure out who it could have been because he talked like he'd been acting for a while, but he'd just gotten famous in the past few years, like pretty well known. And then this guy, Andrew Koenig, who played Boner on Growing Pains, people started speculating it might have been him because he killed himself right around this time. It was in a park in Canada. He hung himself from a tree in like this public park.
And he was a ranger, right?
I don't know. No, I don't think he was a park ranger.
He hadn't found it, but
yeah, it was just in a park.
I'm sorry, you said that was Walter Koenig's son? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so he did have a famous dad, and so people
Star
kind of
Trek, Star Child.
speculated. Yeah, yeah, and so people
Oh
kind of
shit.
speculated like that this was the guy Star Child who was dropping all this info about these like growing up in a satanic family, basically, and
This basically reminds me so much of the Menendez brothers case.
Yes,
where,
it does.
like their dad was like
Yeah.
the way it was sold to us, and you think about the media's in on everything. These poor parents, their kids just wanted their fortune. Then it comes out that they were basically he was a serial rapist. The mother was, according to them, what was in on it, and then a kid from that boy band, that's a Spanish-speaking boy band, said
Menudo.
the dad molested him and raped him.
Where Ricky Martin came from.
wow.
Yeah, right. And yeah, and I saw you could see a prisoner interview. You know, there's all kinds of ex-con channels on YouTube, and you'll see them talking about. I think I've seen two now. Guys that did time with them who had nothing bad to say about them. They're like, that guy helped me out. He taught me this and that. They try to make the. I couldn't believe it because usually these guys are like tear each other's prison legacy apart. but no, I didn't see it with them. So and like I said, look at J.R. Sweet's MormonMonarch.org because he said Britney Spears got programmed too, and they'd taken her.
Yeah.
Sure.
They took her to the Grove for it. He said. Now this is in the '90s when this happened, or not the
Oh
'90s.
yeah.
The 2000, whatever.
Yeah.
He said, because he was owned by Robert Byrd, the senator, he said, like, and they were called the CIA kids, or they called them chosen ones in the Mormons. And the way that they picked them, the way they got picked was dissociation. So, now they're kind of saying this stuff is real. They used to, supposedly it was all debunked, but now you hear about freeze, fight, or flight. In the Me Too era, some people just free. You mean dissociate? Yeah. That's what they were testing for. And people who have generational abuse, after 3 generations, the dissociation gene really starts kicking in. So people who come from long lines of fucked up shit.
Yeah.
They're people that turn a blind eye when they have to survive. Not people that say something, not people that run away, not people that could just stand there blank. They literally, that's what the finest breeding in the world. That's why they inbreed royals. That's what the purpose of that is. They inbred them like dogs all these years with kooky stories that they're gods, whatever they tell them, whatever Scientology bullshit they tell them. That's some corrupt priest class in control breeding them. It's just like in Dune, the Bene Gesserit who are standing for the Jesuits. That's where he got them from. I mean,
also, I want to say something about that. I also think that these Eyes Wide Shut parties are way bigger than we think, and that these couples, they go to it and everybody bangs. And then if you get pregnant, and
dude,
you got to raise that kid.
I told you what Taylor Negron told us on it's an old Race Wars episode. Taylor Negron had the best stories. He knew a lot of like wild shit. Now, he didn't say it like this is he knows is a fact 100%. He goes, this is just a story that I always heard from knowing these people. So the reason Ronan Farrow don't look like Woody Allen.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay, he looks like Frank Sinatra is 100%. Because the same reason. So Mia Farrow's mom used to go to swinger parties like you're describing that Frank Sinatra was at. Okay, and so when she told her mom she was with Frank Sinatra, mom goes, "You cannot be with Frank." And by the way, she'd already stolen her mom's boyfriend or husband or whatever when she was 17. The same way Sun Yi stole her boyfriend when she was 17 as like a little revenge because she was abusive. It was because that's her dad. Sanford Johnson was Mia Farrow's dad. That the mom stopped talking to her. This is the story that Taylor had always heard.
What'd you just say? Who's dad?
So the mom's like, you can't date Frank Sinatra because I don't know if she said he's your dad, but that's the reason why she can't date him. And she dated him anyway, and then the mom wouldn't talk to her. So that's why Ronan looks so much. Which
brings into the whole French Marcon situation, which is basically not only is she trans, but there's a real strong belief that that's his dad.
Yeah, well, like I said, if we cut away all the crazy parts that people are saying about that story, let's just look at the story, the consensus of the story, which is a 14-year-old boy was raped by his teacher, and like Mary Kay Letourneau's story, but but older and not as hot as Mary Kay Letourneau, and she went to prison, and these people rule France. That's the normal person. That's the normie level. So like, they shouldn't be running from the trans thing and what because their story as it is insane. And when you point it out to people, they all say the same thing. They go, "It's France." I don't think it's a good excuse for things. I think maybe that's a.
I agree, dude. I agree. And people,
most people
they
give the children wine.
They can't come to grips with that kind of lie. They don't. For some reason, no matter how much politicians lie to you, every day is a new reset.
Because you have to be part of your. A confidence game is like you have to participate in your being fooled, and so there's a point where, which I'm sure I do all the time, but you would think there'd be a point where you can't unsee what you just saw, but that's because I must be of low breeding. Well-bred turns a blind eye, and the cognitive dissonance don't come out of their Muppet face like it does out of mine.
No, I agree. I agree, dude.
So that's all it is, and so that's what they tested for. So J.R. Sweet, at a birthday party with ventriloquist, there's this story that. And some ventriloquists, I guess that was well known. They're like real rich Mormons. And so him and his brothers, they go, after the show with the ventriloquist dummy, they played a game called What's in the Box. So what's in the box? They played that. And there's a box on the table. And him and his brother and sister each went in and they licked it off the box. And in the box is a severed human hand. So a couple of his brothers and sisters screamed, but him and his brother dissociated. They just went, this is not happening, and left their body, so to speak. They retreated into themselves. Psychological. There's a real thing that we all. That's what DID. Multiple personalities was debunked. Yeah. I remember thinking it wasn't real because it was so debunked. Now they call it DID, dissociative identity. Why do they have to call it that? Because when it was useful to say it's not real, they crapped up the original term. So now they have to like UFO, UAP. Now when it suits the agenda that you.
You're right. Totally.
We're going to give you the parameters. To talk, so the thing
ESG turns into DEI. That's how that goes.
Yeah, they're all the same, but all of them are the same thing. They're all
once ESG got so damaged, they switched it to DEI.
No, I thought they were both things. I thought those were not the same thing.
No, I remember because ESG was. We were talking about that.
ESG was Larry Fink's thing. Wait. Yeah. ESG was Larry Fink's thing, but DEI was part of it. DEI is underneath it, is what I'm saying.
But you used to see
DEI is not
everywhere. You don't see that anymore.
What?
They got rid of that term because it got
Larry Fink said we're getting rid of it now.
Yeah.
Because they had to go suck up. Look, that's why Trump made the deal he made. So because by the way, your choices is fascists versus perverts is your choices in leadership. Yeah. And there's a lot of crossover. It's a revolving door between fascists and perverts, and that's how it's been.
I think there's fascists in the perverts too. I think you were seeing a lot of that stuff too. It's just presented differently.
Well,
I mean, the things that Biden was doing was fascist as well. But real quick,
the things that they're doing, because this is what I learned from all this stuff. And if had I known this stuff that's on Andy's channel back a long time ago, which is wild that to just think of some stuff that. Wait, I never heard of this. How many things there are from recent
Ronald Reagan getting pegged? I mean, that alone is worth the research.
Oh, the irony of Ronald Reagan and being against Larry Flint was Ronald Reagan loved pornography. That's in Kathy's book. He actually loved it. They used to make Uncle Ronnie's bedtime stories porns just for the president. Did you know that?
I read the book. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't ironic that
they would read him a porn to go to bed?
No, they would film bestiality porn 9 times out of 10 because he was really into that, and he would watch it. It was called Uncle Ronnie's Bedtime Stories.
That is crazy.
Real quick, then the girls
I just want to go back, not to get too far away from the trauma of children. The Heather O'Rourke story sounds exactly like this.
Yeah, that's another one.
Rob Reiner very much believed allegedly to be involved with that, and Steven Spielberg. They were going to do I forget what it was, another Lost Ark, but Steven Spielberg's questions of the kids were so creepy that they killed the project.
By the way, Steven Spielberg, there's a million crazy things. What's his name? I'm blanking on his name, dude, but he's really good. Jade.
I don't know, the 400-pound entertainment lawyer from Crazy Days and Nights, who some people think is a lawyer, some people don't. Some people think he's right, some people think he's wrong, but he did a
wrong about what?
that some of the stuff he's talking about, it may not be 100.
He seems to be very conservative in what he claims on any of those.
Well,
and he's
he
also
has
clearly
the one
getting
about
blind
Steven
item.
Spielberg. Well, in that if
A guy,
Steven
this is a
Spielberg
fact.
will kill himself if everything that he has done comes out, he'll kill himself.
Spielberg?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe he'll phone ET or something. That guy that stalked him when he was making Saving Private Ryan, some weird out of work actor, bodybuilder, was planning to rape him in front of his family in Europe. And look up the case. First of all, I mean, it is kind of hilarious actually on one level that you have to testify about outside of prison that this guy's been threatening to like that's crazy, dude. But what possible reason would you have? Oh, Jamie Deluxe has a bunch of good.
Yes. Jamie Deluxe is great.
He gets stuff from that lawyer though, but I watch that lawyer thing all the time because he put on some good Aristotle Onassis, Jackie Onassis stuff very recently, which you should check out because Onassis' daughter, it's like a pretty sad story about her. You start to see, I like to find out all this stuff because it gives you kind of a picture about, because some of the stuff you have, it's so like there's no context to put it in. So unless I understand a little bit of how these families work, like, Chloe, I make that news from women with, like, she's from some old money gothic horror family in finance, the LeBranches. And she has a relative in Louisiana. They come out of Louisiana. And she has some, I don't know how many generations back, but this chick her husband's mistress, after the husband died, she chained the mistress up in the attic and just left her up there to starve to death. And just left the body in there the whole time. Like, she's just beaten downstairs. And the guy's already dead, so they're not, and like, so can you imagine how that's a cult to me? There's only one reason I've never heard of anybody just keeping the body there that isn't a serial killer. Just out of spite, you would want no one.
Who left it up there?
She did.
Oh, Nass's?
No. Chloe LeBranch's great something in Louisiana. I'm just saying these rich families, the way they operate, unless you come from, and people come from money, half of them are on pills. They're on SSRIs. So they're even keel level about a lot of stuff that you couldn't. It sounds like they're from the ghetto. The horrors that they've endured sound like what you heard in Precious. Like the top and bottom of society experience the same abuses. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude, that's a great statement, dude. That's a great.
But I don't know why. As above, so below. I didn't make that up. That's what it is. So they all know the secret, which is a hole's a hole, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a matter of recharging your iPhone, not sexual. It's all about power. So the bottom and top both have this thing. It's all eugenics based, right? And it's all like dinosaur shit. And it's like, well, who's the fittest? Imagine making that much money that you have to live like an impoverished wannabe gangster and that violent. Imagine you have to be like that. Like, that's what happens to people.
No, I'm with you, dude. I also get into that, these Islamic terrorists that everybody's like, you're a terrorist sympathizer. But like, these people are traumatized, man. Their whole families, their whole country, their whole cities, their whole lands just annihilated.
A bunch of them are not organic. They're just like here. Hey, by the way, Patriot Front broke up. Remember that? Totally real group?
Yeah.
That wasn't invented by the feds?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, but I mean, like, think about that, dude. Their entire family, there's no jobs.
We made them. We made these groups.
Yeah.
So how do we make them? The same way they make groups here. They've been doing it on purpose the whole time.
Yeah.
There's no way you fuck up this much. We're like, oh no, we armed terrorists again. Dude, they've been saying this for 40 years. No, I'm not smart. I can see it. Well, like, I'm not saying I'm smarter than these people. They're smart. They're doing it on purpose.
Yep.
They're pretending it's a mistake because you're dumb.
Yep.
It's so obvious.
I agree.
And all you got to do is look at like more than 1 month's worth of history.
Yeah. You have to
and why does
not
everybody
get your news
like
from
that?
the news.
Oh shit! I gotta go. Dude, I got Jimmy's show. I gotta go.
You gotta go now?
Yeah, I got wrestling right jokes. All right, later. Hey, Andy, good to meet you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man.
Give Andy my info, will you?
No, I will not.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye. Take care. All right, now we'll let Andy talk. Andy, that's all. Like, I know he loves you, so I wanted to have him on, but that is, you have to watch yourself, Kurt. And we love him, but when that Adderall kicks in, it's go time. So let's get into the Odyssey nightclub. which is crazy because isn't that the name of the gay bar in Florida as well?
Oh, I don't know that actually. I
Johnny, do
don't
you know what the
The
know.
name of the
shooting? No, what was it? Hold on. In Orlando, you mean?
Yeah, there. Pulse.
Yeah, it
Sorry,
was
so
Pulse.
I got it wrong. I did Orlando. So let's get into the Odyssey nightclub after we've done this whole thing about sexual perversion, which is totally. You know, it's so funny. I posted this video about like why I'm playing a comedy club on a Thursday night, and there's more than 40 people here, but the joke was there's 40 people in the crowd. And I go, well, because I don't fuck kids, right? And like
Yeah.
everyone in the room laughed. I guarantee you, anybody watching, I go, dude, you didn't do well. I'm like, I did well, really well in the room. It did really well in the room. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not where I am. I am where I am because I don't sell out to the.
You turned down the offer.
No, well, not that I turned down the offer. I was never offered anything because
Yeah.
they realized very early that's not my style.
Yeah.
I did remember when I went to MTV, I was meeting with them and I had a couple meetings with them and things were looking to move forward. And the guy I was meeting with was like basically asked me if I was gay. And I said no. And nothing, it just died on the vine right there. I wonder if I
Huh.
was said gay, would I have my own show like Pimp My Ride or some shit like
Yeah.
Didn't the doctor ask you that too?
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to know if I'm gay. It's so crazy to me. According to Twitter, I am gay, so I should have said yes. But so let's get into the Odyssey nightclub. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy story. So, like you said, kind of tying in with like the whole theme of sexual abuse, there was this nightclub in California, in Hollywood, West Hollywood, in the early 80s, and it was called the Odyssey. And it sounds like just the most bizarre nightclub of all time. And basically, how I learned about it and how it kind of re-entered the news was in about 2020 or so, right around 2020, there was audio from this phone call that leaked online, and it was a guy calling into Child Protective Services. And he was saying, "Hey, I grew up in West Hollywood. I grew up in like the entertainment, industry, and I witnessed some awful things, and I want to tell you about it and, see what happens." And he said all this like abuse and child trafficking and stuff, a lot of it happened at this nightclub named the Odyssey that was really popular. And what the Odyssey was it was a 5 a.m. dance club, and it was kind of like known as like a gay bar. So it was a 5 a.m. dance club, but they didn't serve alcohol, so there
By
was
the way,
no
if you're dancing at 5 a.m., you're gay. I mean, there's no straight guys no straight people are dancing at 5 a.m. Gays, they got nowhere to be. They're just dancing.
But the crazy thing about the Odyssey is that they didn't serve alcohol, so there was no age limit. And so this guy who called into Child Protective Service, his name was Richie Albertini. He talked about how he was in high school at the time in the early 80s, and him and his friends would go to the Odyssey 6, 7 nights a week and just party there until 5 a.m. And I guess there was just drugs everywhere at this place, the Odyssey. There was a lot of like really shady characters who liked the fact that, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids were going to this place and doing drugs and staying there till 4 or 5 a.m. And it just seemed like as I was like listening to this phone call and listening to him describing the Odyssey, it just seemed like such a bizarre, like just almost surreal that a place like this existed, but it did. And so I kind of started like, looking into it and learning as much as I could about it just because I was so perplexed by the whole thing. And the craziest thing about the Odyssey is that it was owned by this guy. His name was Eddie Nash. And so Eddie Nash was like considered probably the biggest gangster on the West Coast throughout like the 1970s and 1980s. He was the guy who was involved in the Wonderland murders, which
Oh
is
my
like one of
God.
yeah. And so that's like one of the most notorious crimes in LA. I mean, again, like this guy was basically considered like the biggest gangster on the West Coast. And he owned this 5 a.m. nightclub for teenagers. And he owned a bunch of different places in Hollywood. He owned like, at his height, he owned like 20 some nightclubs in Hollywood.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, yeah. And like there's a movie, it was called Wonderland. It was about the Wonderland murders from like the early 2000s. He was depicted in that. Supposedly, like there was a character in Boogie Nights that's based on Eddie Nash. Um, like one of the really crazy characters. It's been a while since I've seen Boogie Nights.
It's been a
But
while.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, this Eddie Nash guy is just sounds like he was just one of the most evil, brutal people. And he owned this 5 a.m. nightclub for teenagers. His real name was Adel Nasrallah, so he immigrated here from the Middle East. And so
Gay
there's
Middle Easterns, dude. They like it weird.
yeah.
There's just something about money and power, and you just
Yeah.
get into like all the shit that goes on in Saudi Arabia and all that stuff, and
Oh
then they bring it
yeah.
here into West Hollywood, which is, I've been around long enough. I went to San Francisco early, late '90s, early 2000s to do stand up, and it's gay. It was gay at the time. But
Yeah.
nothing's West Hollywood gay. West Hollywood gay
Yeah.
is the mecca of gay. It is the industry of gay. It is the gayest of gay. I've never been anywhere where like billboards of just. I used to like when my dad would come, I just driving through West Hollywood, just have him look at the billboards, just men's ass, and just see if he could compute what was happening. Dude. I'm like, Dad, what
Oh.
do you think they're selling here? What do you think they're Oh, I have no clue, son. What are they selling, Dad? Man ass. That's what they're selling, dog. Um, so it's very interesting. At 5 a.m., man. And
Yeah, it's nuts. And then like the guy's name who made the phone call in 2020, his name was Richie Albertini. He also was like a part-time actor. He also worked at the Viper Room for Johnny Depp. He was like the head dude, like one of the head dudes at the Viper Room. So he told some stories about the Viper Room. The whole phone call he has is like just absolutely incredible. But one of the things he tells about the Odyssey is that he had a 14-year-old friend who was getting abused by this 42-year-old guy who was a regular at the Odyssey. And the 42 and the 14-year-old friend, his dad was a cop, so he stole his dad's revolver and blew away the 42-year-old one night. And you can find like articles about this. It actually did happen. And what's crazy is like they talk about in the article how this 42-year-old guy's name was Larry Benjamin. He was apparently just always at the Odyssey. He had a 16-year-old roommate, and then he was killed by this 14-year-old kid at like 4 in the morning at his apartment. And I mean, the article, I show it in the video I made about the Odyssey, but the article is just like this terrible, like, cover up job. They talk about how this Larry Benjamin guy was a benefactor, they call him, and how he had an argument with his 14-year-old friend. They literally use the term friend. I mean, it's just crazy. But this Richie Albertini guy talks about this is like a buddy of his. He also talks how one of his best friends growing up, who he went to the Odyssey with all the time, was Robert Arquette from the Arquette acting family. And he talks about how this Robert Arquette was just put through horrible, horrible shit by, older men. And so Robert Arquette, he's from the Arquette acting family. He's the one who transitioned into Alexis Arquette in the early
hold
2000s.
on, hold on. Rewind this back a little bit. Say what you just said right now.
So this Richie Albertini, one of his best friends was Robert Arquette back in the day. So as teenagers, they would go to this Odyssey club all the time. And this Richie Albertini on the call claimed that Robert Arquette was just abused like horribly by
Oh
older
my
men.
God, that's awful.
I know. And I mean, he tells some pretty horrible stories on the call. And then, yeah, in like the early 2000s, before transitioning to trans was cool, Robert Arquette became Alexis Arquette. He transitioned into a woman and then ended up dying just a few early, I
Yeah,
don't know,
not that long
2009 or
ago.
so. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. And even like Robert or Alexis Arquette's like death is like kind of suspicious because she was like, or she or he or whatever, was like really posting crazy stuff on social media at the time, like about Will Smith being gay and like really getting deep. And I made a video just about Alexis Arquette and what Richie says on the call. And even like after Alexis Arquette died, there were friends who were saying that at the time he or she or whatever was working on a tell-all book and it was described by a friend as this book would have been the most explosive Hollywood tell-all book ever. Because apparently, like this Robert Alexis Arquette knew a lot of secrets about a lot of people in Hollywood and was going to spill the beans. And then he died. She died.
Well, I mean, when you look at the LA Sheriff badge, literally has the pedophile symbol in it over and
Right.
over and over again. And
Right.
it goes back to what we talked about earlier, where like, the apex predators, they're the criminals and they're the law enforcement.
Yeah.
And they
Oh yeah.
compromise. Now, this thing just happened out of Vegas. The sheriff that was working the Vegas shooting, he just got sent to
Honolulu.
Maui, right?
Yeah. Right before the
And
fires.
right there before the fires. And now they put him on administrative leave because he's been named in these P. Diddy lawsuits,
Whoa, I
which
didn't know that.
which is getting really muddy too. Kirk kind of brought it up earlier in this day of Twitter and all this stuff. But so these lawsuits are coming out and they're really crazy. Like already Jay-Z won his lawsuit. He already won his lawsuit that it didn't happen. And I'm starting to wonder if the whole thing is flooded with ridiculously stupid lawsuits so nobody pays attention to it anymore. Because now they got
Right.
this Drewski guy, this woman that names like P. Diddy, Drewski. Is that how you pronounce his name? I don't even know. And then
Yeah.
and then who's the giant that did the crazy catch? OBJ. Odell
Oh
Beckham.
yeah.
And like the language in it is so ridiculous. It makes you like not want to take it. Like she goes, they oiled me up and they rode me like a slip and slide. And I'm like,
Yeah.
is that the terminology that a rape
Yeah.
victim would use? And then you go, okay, here's another crazy lawsuit. Like, are they flooding it? Are they flooding
Yeah.
this thing with such ridiculous lawsuits that everyone doesn't get taken serious? So when a real one comes along, they don't say
Yeah.
anything.
Oh yeah. I think like the same thing happens with a lot of like I could go back to the JFK killing. I mean, there's like 9 million theories about, who killed him and who's involved. And I think a lot of those are kind of like this P. Diddy thing. I think a lot of those are plants
Yeah.
where it's like if people were going on the right path or kind of figuring it out, they just throw all these ridiculous stories out or rumors out or people out, and it just really muddies the waters and it makes it almost, impossible to actually
Also,
like.
sorry, what better way
No.
to obscure your own involvement than to get
Oh
truly
yeah.
innocent people involved? If they're truly innocent, then it's going to add that quality of innocence to your own defense if you're on
Yeah.
the side. And then that, because like OBJ came out really strongly. It was like, dude, this is crazy. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, like so many of the Me Too things were just absolutely ridiculous. But at the time, it was like CAA was pushing it.
Yeah.
They have everybody under them. Everybody's
Yeah.
gonna push crazy. I mean, it's really nuts. It's really nuts. But yeah, so you go back to this, and again, Obama, his chef found who is an accomplished swimmer.
Yeah.
And they find him, he just drowned,
Yeah.
and supposedly he has a book coming out. All those, you remember when we had just a rash of suicides with the lead singer Soundgarden, lead singer
Yeah.
who else? Who went out? Charles Bennington.
Yeah. Right.
Who's the guy who did the chef show?
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony
Yeah.
Bourdain, and they all like died in
Spade.
weird. Kate Spade died in weird ways.
Yeah.
Like weird ways.
Yeah.
It's like, silence people,
Yeah.
very famous on that. So it's like, she's about to put out a book and all of a sudden she's dead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, going back to the JFK thing, like it's wild. I don't know if you've ever seen the list of like all the witnesses and like the people associated with it who died years later. The same is true for Watergate. There's a list of like 20, 30, 40 people who've died who like died in like the years after Watergate.
The
And,
Vegas
like,
shooting too. Tons
Yeah.
of people all around that, witnesses that were just suddenly like
Oh,
they
yeah.
died in suspicious ways.
Yep. Like right after the, yeah.
So crazy, man. It's like I think murdering somebody still is a big deal. But I
Yeah.
also believe like that. I mean, they just won't very. I mean, obviously, there's that famous Iceman assassin story where he had to get jumped in. He just walked up to somebody walking their dog and shot him in the back of the head, and that's how he got jumped into the assassin gang. Obviously, that does happen, right? But I think like taking out some people is a lot bigger deal than people think it is. And so, but when they have to do it, they have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's easier to assassinate someone's character, especially with social media and everything like that. You assassinate their credibility, their character, kind of like, any sort of politician running. You always see these smear articles and trying to, dig up dirt on them and whatnot. Assassinating their character or assassinating their reputation is a lot of ways like easier than just like going outright and killing them.
And I'm going to
But
say this about LA. I do believe that like everyone looks at Vegas as the city of sin. It's like such a great slogan where you can just go, but it's way more corporate,
yeah.
way more corporate than Los Angeles. LA is like LA is like it's way more debauchery in Los Angeles. Way more debauchery because everyone comes to LA even on a Greyhound bus wanting to be like, a star, and they don't realize how stacked the odds are against them. You're going up against kids, rich kids who grew up here, whose friends and family all are the casting directors and producers. You're going
Yeah.
up. It's like it's so rigged. But what people are willing to do to get in, like, there's a very famous story about J-Lo. Like, women go and wait tables at the Laugh Factory because J-Lo worked there. You go there, their wait staff is stunning. And you go there, you're like, oh, the comedy, like all, comedy stores, same thing, gorgeous, gorgeous girls. But the Laugh Factory is known for having gorgeous waitresses, and it's because J-Lo went there. But then
I
you
didn't know that.
study,
That's funny. I didn't know
you
that.
worked there, yeah. But then you study like J-Lo's ascent and how like there's all these stories about her, how she doesn't sing. She's not really a singer. She jacks songs.
Yeah.
She's not nice and all this crazy stuff. And you just realize like how connected to P. Diddy she was and how
Oh
she
yeah.
supposedly brought the gun in and all that. Like what people do for fame. And now she's been
Yeah.
famous forever. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, yeah, they talk about that in that Star Child thread that we were kind of hitting on earlier, that message board thread. Some guy, I think it was Star Child actually, who talked about in one of his posts. He said, "You won't believe, most normal people wouldn't believe what people do to get into the limelight and what they do to stay there. Once they're in there, they still have to do, bad shit to keep getting casted and keep getting deals and things like that." So,
It's so crazy, dude. And I'm sorry, but if you're a 14-year-old at a nightclub at 5 in the morning, you're probably coming from really horrible families at that point.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean that Richie Albertini guy on the call when he talked about the Odyssey, he talks about that. It was all kids from like Beverly Hills High School, Fairfax High School, like they were all really rich kids whose parents just didn't give a crap about them because the parents were really busy with their jobs. A lot of them, worked in entertainment, worked in the entertainment industry and were traveling all the time. So these kids, just kind of had free reign and could do whatever, and they just all started hanging out at this 5 a.m. nightclub and never going to school or
Nothing good
anything. And
happens after midnight. Nothing.
no, yeah. So it's a pretty, it's amazing to me that a place like that existed, but it did.
Oh, but it's also like, it's like something's happened in LA too, where like a lot of the outward debauchery is gone behind closed doors. You don't see it like you used to. Like Johnny. Johnny used to live off Santa Monica Boulevard. It was easier for him to sell his ass that way, right? So he was always near there.
Well, I'm all about convenience. So.
Yeah, that's it. But Johnny doesn't live there anymore. But Johnny, wouldn't you agree? Like it, like I remember, like what I would do is I would go do my show. I would do my show late night at the Comedy Store, and then I would drive through all the parts of LA just to look at the like all the wild things. I used to
No,
love.
totally. Yeah. I mean, they've, it's funny. The city has become worse, like dirtier in some ways, but in other ways, yeah, it's kind of, like you said, gone behind closed doors. I mean, I used to get on, I'd walk back from the Comedy Store, through West Hollywood, to be fair. And West Hollywood, if you don't know, it's a nice place to live.
It's not the gays keep it clean.
But I get so much just shit, verbal, all the way home.
Harassment.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could call it harassment. I thought it was a nice pick me up, to my ego.
Dude, gay guys will make you feel good. They'll be like, "You are stunning." You're like, "Thank you. I needed to hear that. I'll live another day. I'll live another day."
Now, from the sound of it, you're more likely to get stabbed than catcalled on the way home. I'm hearing about like open air daytime robberies now in that same area. Some guy the other day I met for Craigslist. And he was like,
"Why you mean for Craigslist?
I got a telescope. That telescope I bought right after
right.
work." And he said, "Dude, when you said you wanted to meet me in an alley off La Brea, I was like, oh god, please no." And
but he still showed up.
Yeah,
like,
he said, well, and he said a block from where we were, they had just had like several people get just in the middle of the day. These guys jump out of a car, shake them down, and then get back in armed with guns and stuff. And that area. It's just a little east of La Brea is not a bad area. So,
so let's get into, speaking of disasters. Let's get into the Leonard Kyle brain implant disaster. What is that about?
Yeah. Well, I thought that was kind of fitting because that's kind of where the term tinfoil hat got popular and got
Let's go,
associated.
bro. Let's go.
Yeah, man. So there was this dude, Leonard Kyle, back in like the 1960s, and he worked for Polaroid, and he was like a really genius inventor, and he had all these patents on the Polaroid instant camera. And the Polaroid instant camera was like kind of like the iPhone of its time. Like it was a total game changer because
Yes.
before you take photos, you got to like develop them and do all the stuff. The instant camera, you take a photo and you can actually see it. So it was just total game changer. This dude had all these patents on it and he'd help, develop it, but he was kind of like a little cuckoo. Like he was really paranoid about his wife cheating on him, and I guess he was a little mentally unstable. And he would fly into these like violent rages. And so he was convinced to go see these two doctors, Vernon Mark and Frank Irvin. And then there's some controversy over whether he agreed to get a brain implant or if they just implanted him without him knowing it. But what happened was he got a brain implant and he started just basically going crazy. He started getting these really bad headaches. He could hardly even function. And he was, like found just wandering around, talking to himself. And so he's committed to a mental asylum. And he found that if he put a garbage can, like a metal garbage can over his head, it would stop the pain. And so he would start walking around with a metal garbage can. Later on, he found that if he made a hat out of tinfoil and put it on, that would stop the pain in his head. And so he would constantly walk around with this tinfoil hat. And he even like went to some, because he was involved in like this court battle because he was claiming like he was one of the inventors of this Polaroid camera. He had these patents that were stolen from him.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. So he was like involved in this court battle while he was confined to this mental asylum. Everybody thought he was crazy, talking about how he had a brain implant and he invented, one of the best inventions of all time. And he was in a mental asylum and he was, just naturally a little strange. But he would always walk around with this tinfoil hat on. And so that's kind of where the term tinfoil hat became associated with like being crazy.
Oh,
like
that's crazy. Isn't the story that Kurt told on Joe Rogan? Yeah, like that. I did.
Yeah,
I remember him saying that. That is nuts.
Yeah, because if
it's
you
not
Google
tinfoil
it,
hat,
they say
it's a trash can.
Well, he did a trash can first, and then he started using tinfoil hat because it was, much more convenient to just wear a little tinfoil hat as opposed to a big trash can. But if you Google it, they say like tinfoil hat was from like some comic book or something in the 1920s where the hero made a tinfoil hat to block like a death ray or like a mind control ray. But that has nothing to do with like being crazy or anything like that. Like the reason tinfoil hat is associated with crazy was because of this guy, Leonard Kyle. Apparently, he even like showed up to a couple court cases like wearing his tinfoil hat. Couldn't find pictures of it or anything, but it's pretty interesting. And then anyway, the whole story gets into kind of like the CIA because these two doctors who implanted him had major links to the CIA.
What?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it was right around the time of like MK Ultra was just kind of the CIA was doing all these, experiments with mind control and how to control people's minds. And then this guy Edwin Land, who ran Polaroid and made just enormous amounts of money from the camera, he also had connections to the CIA because he helped them with like photographic equipment during the war, like on spy planes and whatnot. And so there's all these kind of like shady connections. It's actually kind of interesting. One little side note, this happened in Boston. And at the time, these two doctors, they worked at one of the big hospitals in Boston, and there was a intern from Harvard Medical School who followed them around, and his name was Michael Crichton. So Michael Crichton wrote like Jurassic Park. After he graduated from med school, instead of becoming a doctor, he started writing novels. He wrote Jurassic Park. He created ER. He's one of the most successful writers ever. And anyway, Michael Crichton wrote a book. It's called The Terminal Man, and it got made into a movie in the 70s. I think it stars Michael Douglas. I could be wrong on that. But it was a big release. And the whole plot of the movie and the book, The Terminal Man, is about a guy who has a really bad temper problem, and he goes in and gets a brain implant, and it drives him crazy, and he tracks down the doctors who did it and tries to kill them. And it's kind of funny in the book and in the movie, one thing that happens is this guy who has the brain implant breaks into the house of one of the doctors and has her cornered. He's got a big knife and he's got her cornered in her kitchen. And how she escapes is she reaches over and turns on the microwave, and the waves from the microwave getting turned on disable him, and he collapses to the ground.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's kind of tied into the whole brain implant.
Well, I've talked about this before on this show, but about, you always see these commercials like, hey, do you have an invention? Well, come to us. We'll make sure we get it right, sir. I'm like, you are just mining inventions
Yeah.
that you can steal. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like the people are like, hey, send us your gold. We'll send you money. And like anyone who put gold into an envelope and send it off is a sucker. Anybody who
Yeah.
calls these things and gives them their idea, I'm sure they just get the worst ideas and then one idea. They're like, damn, that's a great idea. And they just
Yeah.
jack it,
Yeah.
which is very interesting too, because, you think of DARPA and all the stuff going on in DARPA, right?
Yeah.
But occasionally there must be some invention, excuse me, where civilians are onto something that the government either was trying to do or never even thought of. And they're like, damn, dude, that's a great idea. We got to jack that.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah.
And Polaroid is probably it.
Yeah. Well, you always hear stories too about like some of these plane crashes that happen. Like a lot of times there'll be like people who hold patents on the plane
Yeah,
that
yeah.
crashes.
Oh,
I've
fascinating.
always heard.
Well, the film
Yeah.
that one supposedly had what was the one that disappeared that the whole thing was like
370. Yeah.
MH.
MH370.
something about a patent about being able to not be detected on sonar or radar. They you can just, and they can't
interesting.
see you, and that five people had patents on it, were on the plane,
Were on
and the
the
one who
plane, yeah.
didn't was a Rothschild. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You hear it all the time. It's crazy. So listen, I don't want to keep you all day, but tell me the story of Howard Hughes.
Oh yeah, man. That's one of
We'll
the
end on this.
recent
Get
videos.
into some Hollywood. Yeah. Tell me
Yeah, dude.
what you know about him.
Well, it's really interesting. So basically, like, there's the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. There's a lot more to the story than what's shown in the movie. And like Howard Hughes was crazy because like throughout like the 1940s and 50s, he was like the biggest celebrity in the world. He was the richest man in the world, and he was like the biggest womanizer in the world. You can look on his Wikipedia page and it lists out every woman that he dated, and it's like every A-list actress of the time. He was, this massive businessman. He was always photographed out in public and everything. And then around the mid 1950s, he just vanished off the face of the earth. And nobody saw him for the next like 18 years of his life. And I mean, it's just so bizarre that, one of the most notorious, famous, successful people could just vanish, but that's what happened. And so he vanished off the face of the earth, and he had this massive business empire and this group called that Kurt kind of talked about called the Mormon Mafia of these Mormons who were led by this guy Frank Gay moved in and started kind of like running the show and running Howard Hughes's empire. And all throughout it, there was like all these stories like, oh, Howard Hughes says this, Howard Hughes says that, but no one ever saw him. He never gave like a public statement or anything. He just vanished off the face of the earth for the last 20 years of his life. And then he finally died in the mid 1970s. And the only, like, for instance, like when he died, the only recent photo anyone could find of him was from 1955. So they just ran photos of him from 1955. And I kind of get into all the many strange aspects to the story in the video, but it's just so weird how he just completely and utterly, and the official story is that he just went crazy and
Yeah.
kind of locked himself in a hotel room and everything, but no one ever saw him. I mean, it seems like to me like the whole thing was made up. He was either dead or like being held as like a prisoner somewhere the whole time.
I mean, there's a lot of stories right now that seem very similar to that, and people may not know this, but like that Wendy Williams, who was like the talk show host, she's
Yeah.
supposedly like at the window begging for help right now because she's in like a old home or everyone's like she's got dementia, but here we go with that. The Gene Hackman stuff is really
Yeah.
weird,
Really
right?
weird.
And
Yeah.
that like nobody heard from him for weeks, dude. Like if I don't hear from my
Right.
father in like a day or two, I'm ready to get on a plane and fly to Arizona to
Well,
see if he's okay.
And what his wife, who is you hear he's 95, she's like 64, so she was like sprightly, and she got hantavirus, which is what if you watch that movie Outbreak, it's one of the other viruses they mention is like it's 10 times worse than hantavirus. Incredibly rare though. A few people get it a year in every state. It's from aerosolized urine and feces of rats that are infected, and it can't be spread from human to human. But it's like a coin flip, live or die with that, even with treatment. Like one of the stories I read was a doctor said that he had a patient that seemed perfectly healthy, infected with that. And then 1 second they were like, oh, I don't feel too well. And then 20 minutes later, they were just dead. It's like one of those things that rapidly destroys your lungs, apparently. And like your blood pressure drops.
Like in minutes?
Yeah, in minutes. Yeah, it can. Like you get infected and then it takes a while to kill you, but it can go from like 0 to dead rapidly. And so she got this, and then apparently he lingered. Like, because he's apparently had dementia for a while. He died like a week later or more, possibly, and they found him in a different part of the house. And somehow one of them had the wherewithal to crack open the door so that the dogs were there, could get in and out. But one dog had just had surgery, so it was in a crate, and that one died because obviously it wasn't being fed. But yeah, and they get there, and they first think it's like gas. And so they run around doing the test for that, and it didn't. There was a small gas leak, but nothing that could have killed anybody. But yeah, it's really strange, dude. And the last time they saw this woman she had a mask on, which should tell you she's unwell mentally, at least. What this thing presents as a respiratory illness, this hantavirus. So she was getting like respiratory treatment at like medicine at over the counter shit at like a CVS. And then that's the last time there's any record of them. And then I think it was it the I might have been their cleaning guy or somebody that finally called, looked in the window, and saw her just laying on the floor with another reason it was weird. There were pills all around her, and they thought maybe it was a suicide, but then they looked into that, and those were thyroid medication that was being taken as prescribed. So I don't know if there's anything too bizarre there other than it just being an incredible mystery for a while, but
it's really, really, really weird. And
strange,
you get into like Britney Spears, like and Anna Nicole Smith,
Oh yeah.
where they were just drugging them forever
Yeah.
to the point where Howard K. Stern, he had to put a case.
Yeah.
Howard K. Stern was found guilty of that, of just basically drugging them forever. You know, like if you see the music video Piece of Me, I'm in it, and it's based on a sketch that we did called Fake Heat. Me and my buddy Jason Tebow wrote it. It's a very funny sketch, and
Very funny.
they basically, Dana produced it. She got the idea from the sketch and pitched it to Britney Spears, and she's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And the reason that video is very big is because her dad had to step in and basically take her from all these boyfriends that were just constantly drugging her.
Wow.
And then everyone was then everybody goes, "Oh, Britney's dad is a bad guy," and so they like of course all the women just rushed together and got her free, and now she's a crazy person.
Yeah. Nuts.
It's
Hollywood,
crazy
man. It is.
Hollywood, dude. But money and power, and what people will do for money and power.
Mm-hmm.
It's very crazy, dude. It's definitely a crazy thing. Hey, man, Andy, I enjoyed talking to you, even though, you didn't get a lot in early. Sorry
it's
about
all right.
that. Sorry about that. You were fire, though. It was a fire episode. One more time, Andy, tell them where they could find you.
YouTube, Control Alt History. I'm on all the, major social media networks. Control Alt History. That's Alt History, ALT, like Control Alt Delete. And yeah, that's mostly where I am.
Do you upload yourself to Twitter? I'm starting to get real traction on there.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, like really good
Yeah, I didn't know if there was. I know there used to be like a time limit to videos that you could upload. Does that exist
Well, if you
anymore?
do like the blue check mark, you can go 2 hours.
go as
I
long?
posted videos over 2 hours on there.
Okay, I might have to start doing that then. Yeah.
And do you have any premium content like a Patreon or anything?
I got a Patreon. Yeah, I don't do much with it, but I usually I always have like bibliography sheets for like the videos I make with just links to various websites, articles, like things that I've used to compile the information. So those are available on Patreon as well, but I don't do it too much on there.
Okay, well, if you could send me the links, I'll give you my email.
Yeah.
Up there. Send me any links you want to be included. And hey, dude, great episode. You're welcome back anytime.
I'd love to.
We'll make it happen whenever you want to promote anything or you got a video you want to get out. We'll have a discussion on it. And yeah, man, I appreciate it. So let's break down this episode and talk about the news. Johnny, thoughts on the show episode?
Good show today. Lot of energy.
A lot of energy, a lot of Adderall energy, going hard in the pain.
That guy's great, though. Both of those guys are great.
Kurt Metzger's great. He's great. So let me ask you something.
Funniest guy alive.
What?
He's the funniest guy alive. I mean, he's just so
very funny. He's great.
Yeah.
I thought Andy was great too. Andy just had to sit there and weather the storm as two guys scream at each other in agreement.
Yeah, you two are just very similar frequencies that you're on, I will say. You and Matt.
Yeah, yeah. So I love having Kurt on. I thought the guy was great. I mean, like, dude, it's just like whatever the official story is, just know the real story is way worse. Whatever it is, way worse.
Yes.
Right?
Always. Yeah.
Everybody's just got a secret. That's it. Everyone's got a dark secret.
And you can almost always be sure that what gets reported
is not the truth.
Yeah, it's not the truth. What did you, if you want to do headlines real quick, it was the Odell Beckham thing I wanted to get into more because I pulled that for Broken Cement. We might as well, since you brought it up, we might as well get into it. He had a really emphatic denial, one of those denials that had the quality of being true in what he said. And he kind of did it in his Odell Beckham tweety voice, like it was, where's the tweet? Let me see if I can. Okay, here it is. In a reply, Beckham 32 wrote in an awkwardly spelled post, "Boy, I'll tell you what. This world makes absolutely no sense. I am covered by God. He will prevail. I know who I am. I know who you are. Keep your head. That name will be cleared. Shit's stupid." That's what Odell Beckham said.
Hey, dude, I wonder if a lawyer drafted that up for him.
Shit, stupid. Is
Yeah,
that something a
yeah.
lawyer would do?
Some
By the spelling of
legalese.
this,
We
by
need
the
to
way-
make it sound like he said it, and they just put in AI.
Well, the
AI,
spelling was very
take
creative.
this legal statement we want and make it into slightly closeted gay NFL player speak. And shit's stupid, right? So it's very interesting. Odell Beckham. Do you remember that famous video that came out of him on the dance floor with Justin Bieber, and it looks like Justin Bieber is sucking him off, but there's no way he's sucking him off right there on the dance floor. But
Wasn't he also in like a hot tub with a guy in a really weird video, like Odell Beckham?
They all are, dude. They're all weirdos, man. They're all weirdos. But the Zewski or whatever his name is, Drewski guy.
Yeah, Drewski. Yeah, here's that video with Odell Beckham, and they're singing Marvin Gaye "Sexual Healing" in a hot tub together. It's a little. Look at that. He's under the water, and he comes out. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is weird. But also Odell Beckham with Justin Bieber's weird too.
Yeah, I couldn't find that one.
But the Drewski guys, like I wasn't even famous then. I was.
Oh, that's how that actually doesn't do anything credible. That might be how you got famous.
Well, that's what he's saying. I wasn't even famous. I was living with my mother at the time, and that's his defense. And everyone's like, he wasn't even famous then. And you're like, Johnny, you bring up good points.
No defense at all. Yeah.
And then he has the blonde hair, which is always a sign of like something's going on when black people have blonde hair.
Yeah.
Have you ever met a black with blonde hair that you're like, oh, you're mentally stable?
Cisco.
Right?
No, maybe. I mean, Odell had that too. Maybe he is involved in it because he's got that blonde hair too.
Well, it's interesting because, like, again, if you want to make people skeptical, you keep throwing bullshit lawsuits out there, and at some point, people are like, "Dude, a boy who cried wolf."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also, I mean, what I was saying in the show, the best thing to do if you're Diddy is to get lawsuits thrown out there with you named in them, with innocent people also named.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best because then you get kind of smeared with the innocence scent. You know what I mean? Even though you don't have a lick of it on you naturally. But
what's really weird is like there's all these people associated with P. Diddy, and like obviously I love Brian Callen, and Brian Callen gets labeled by a bunch of fucking crazy people. And his career, like he's excommunicated. Not one shred of evidence, nothing, except for 3 chicks come forward. 2 of them, supposedly some bad thing happened, and then they kept fucking him. You know what I'm saying? Like really weird.
Yeah, you know how that happens.
Yeah, So anyways, so he gets excommunicated. All these people, like, here's my theory: is if you get accused of something and nothing happens to you, you probably did it. If you get accused of something and get ran out instantly, there's a good chance nothing happened to you. You had nothing to do with it. And then it's not till much later when you become not productive. I do believe that. Like, why does a Weinstein go down, even though you have Candace Owens going, I don't think he did it, which is like a big thing that, we've had people come on talking about how Bill Cosby, they thought.
Weinstein?
Yeah, I know. Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein did it?
He thinks that he just cheated on his wife with chicks who wanted to make it.
Okay. I mean, well, but all right. Okay. I mean,
I'm not saying I agree with her because I don't agree with her on the making of a murderer shit.
Well, no, and it's interesting. If you hear somebody who actually really knows that case break down that documentary, it's not, none of that shit was new. A lot of it, like the people making it, like the uncle or whatever making those accusations, has got a really shady, like some really dark shit in his history, like really dark, and they just kind of gloss over it. And that documentary,
which doc?
Her documentary about Stephen Avery. Documentary, she didn't even make that. That documentary existed years before. Daily Wire bought it and then just filmed her doing these little interstitials. and stuck
Oh,
him in there.
really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's not even
Like,
her
I listen,
documentary.
dude. Candace Owens is a firecracker. She knows how to get clicks and views, you know, and it's kind of like she's just a giant fucking. It's like what Louis C.K. said about Dane Cook. He was just such a force that he just sucked up everything around him. Like we were at the Comedy Store having a conversation. It was him and Andrew Santino. We were talking about arena acts, and everyone's just like, yeah. And there used to be only one arena act, and it was Dane Cook. And now there's a bunch of them. But going back to the Stephen Avery stuff, it's so hard for me to go this guy couldn't gotten framed again when he already got framed once. Like,
Oh, yeah.
right? It just doesn't make sense. There's just things that even an idiot wouldn't do. Like you run a fucking you run a junkyard with a car compactor. Why wouldn't you just murk her and then run it right in? Well, who's your friends are all retards. Well,
Also, the way it was hidden was like how you hide something in a cartoon.
No,
you know what I mean? It was just like a branch, like right over the
no.
back.
It's how you hide Easter eggs.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely,
you want it to be found.
Yes. There's no way. If Stephen Avery knew that car was on that property and he did that, there's no way it would be where it was. There's just no chance.
100%.
Now, it's
so
possible. Dumb. It's like what I think happened with OJ, where they planted evidence, but he also did it. Now, that's possible.
That could happen too. Well, that was for the longest time Rogan's take on the moon landing, was that we went, but they shot a bunch of stuff. Because that way you could be that allows you to hold two thoughts at one time.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if Rogan still believes
a lot
that.
of people believe that. Yeah, but I
anyways. So, yeah, we'll see, dude. It's just there's a lot going on, dude. And it's
Can we
like,
talk just briefly about Alex Jones just tweeted out that General Flynn contacted him and told him there's a credible assassination plot against Alex Jones.
Well, I mean, they killed his reporter friend.
I know, he just got murdered, which adds some some intrigue to this tweet by Alex.
Some intrigue, dude.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that crazy, dude? Now, say what you will about General Flynn, which there's a lot to say about that guy.
Well, say a lot about all of them. And, we've had Alex on the show multiple times. I've done his show multiple times. I will tell you this. Alex Jones is a gentleman. When you meet him, he's the nicest guy.
Is that Alex Jones, though? That's what we all want.
Oh, Ozempic Jones?
Yeah. Yeah, Ozempic Jones.
By the way, doesn't Ozempic Jones sound like one of John Jones's brothers? There's
Chandler
totally Jones. There's Ozempic Jones.
All right. General Flynn tried to call me this morning while I was working out, and I missed his call, but he called my producer and said the same thing.
I'm speeding it up, by the way. You're not being effed with by the system or something. Some people in our listenership think when I speed videos up that there's some plot to, I don't know, brainwash them or something.
Yeah. He said from his high-level intel sources, there is a contract out on me, and of course it's tied to the Ukrainians. But this is just emblematic of how desperate they are, and that's NATO for the Ukrainians. Don't forget that it was a NATO operative from America, CIA, recruiting for the Ukrainian war, with the 6 cell phones that Trump talked about last week, and all the passports that tried to kill Trump at Mar-a-Lago. So that's their base of operations. So it's MI6.
Stop it. What is more shocking, what he's saying or his beard? Like, what is he doing with that beard? I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he goes for the goatee and then he just like, nah, keep some of this beard right here. I've never seen that.
Dude,
right? Ozempic Jones is like short-circuiting on his beard. Look at that.
Dude, I was reading this Civil War thing the other day, and I looked up the governor of New York in the Civil War, and he has a facial hair structure I've never seen before. His last name is Seymour, Governor Seymour. He's got no hair on his face, no hair on the top of his head, but his neck is a full beard down here, dude. It's a full beard of hair.
Yeah, that sounds a mental illness to me.
Let me see. Okay, hold on. Governor Seymour.
That sounds like mental illness to me.
New York. Here it is. Look at this guy's beard, neck beard, dude. It's a carpet down. Look at that.
No, I'm with you, dude. That's mental illness. That's mental illness. That's
It looks
mental
like his
illness.
hair is upside down. Like it
Yeah,
should.
yeah. He's got either he had the worst turkey neck you've ever seen in your life.
It's like
The
what?
worst.
Is that
He's like,
crazy?
oh, I had a child accident, and my turkey neck is unbelievably
It's
bad.
Horatio
And
Seymour. If you're listening, you want to
yeah,
look.
Horatio Seymour. Anybody named Horatio is shady, by the way.
Yeah,
Almost as shady as Ozempic Jones.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, we heard the most of that Jones thing.
Well, Johnny,
crazy.
obviously there's a lot of people on this Ukrainian kill list, and
Am
your
I?
Twitter
Because
was right there.
They took out my Twitter.
Your Twitter is right there. Right there.
Crazy. And Elon, take it or leave it, but he claims now that cyber attack was traceable back to Ukraine. The X cyber attack. At least that's what he said yesterday. I would like to see let me see if he said anything else about that. Let's see. Yeah, there's no update on that. So that was the last we heard from Elon, was that it was Ukraine that was targeting. Now, I think people don't quite understand how big a country Ukraine is. Ukraine's a big country, like population wise and landmass wise. It was the second biggest Soviet republic behind Russia. And so they have, resources to do this kind of thing, great resources. And then Musk kind of tweeted out like, hey, your whole war will go to nothing if I turn off Starlink. You have no chance. So it's kind of this war of words between Ukraine and Musk now. But
yeah, I mean, it's, and the fact if any of that's serious and real,
I don't know. Yeah.
The fact that anyone's okay with Ukrainians killing Americans on American soil is just nuts to me. Just absolutely crazy to me. And that's my opinion.
Yes.
All right, some great episodes today. Go to samtripoli.com. Get dates to my shows. I'm going to be in Detroit at the end of the month. Then I'm going to be in Tacoma. I booked more dates. I have to put them up. I'm slow to that. All my premium content is fucking fire right now. Grab that. I'm doing shows with other people. Chaos Twins, comedy shows. My t-shirt, this t-shirt is available. The Fuck Zuck t-shirt is on fire right now. People be loving it. You can get discount shirts of old shirts right now and the Fuck Zuck shirt. Look at that.
Great shirt. Yeah, great shirt.
Great shirt.
Love it.
Fun for the whole family. Fun for the whole family.
Did we ever get the Common Sense is the new punk rock? Is that
Yeah, that's supposed to be up. Go down. Why isn't that up? I'll ask him why it's up.
see.
Go up a little bit. Go up a little bit. How much is the new fucking? Go up a little bit.
Oh, I'm just going back to. I'm just seeing if no, it's not on there yet. Okay.
How come the Trump one is already discounted? Go up. It's a brand new shirt. Why is it $14 already? Dang. That's a brand new shirt.
Sam, working out pricing logistics here on tinfoil.
Sure, I can understand the old shirts, but why the new shirts? And that's about that.
I love that he put Jordans on you. Do you even own a pair of Jordans?
Yeah, I do, Johnny. I
You
do own
okay.
a pair of Jordans.
Okay.
Okay. Damn, dude, you're a shady dude. All of these things, brown, obviously, buy gold and silver, Rife Technologies.
Obviously,
you gotta get into the gold and silver. I like talking to somebody today. I was like, you know what, dude, stop falling for the psyops. Get into gold, silver, guns, land. That's it. Make kids, gun, silver, gold, land. That is it. Bang.
Yes.
Everything else is ridiculous. Rife Technology is great. AquaCure hydrogen brown gas. Get in it, dude. You need hydrogen. Keeps you young. Mineral King. Everyone's loving it. Sales left and right. Chemical free body. Gonna white label some stuff. Get you discounts. Working on that right now. Our good friends at Harley Ray. And you can check out the other guys as well. Brain Supreme level. Next level shit. Grab that and Prometheus. Nuke. Now listen, you go on Nuke. Okay, you go nuke.social. You know what, Johnny? I should ask them to link I know you're off Twitter, but the broken sim, link your broken sim to the Nuke social so it goes right to Nuke. Go to Nuke social. You and Xavier Guerrero. Get on that one. And then Conspiracy Social Club. I mean, the Telegram, the Zero, bringing Zero back. Go back down a little bit more. And then all the videos. No, down. Videos, audio. Check out Doom Scrolling. It is every Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Fans are already making songs, doing crazy ass videos. It's really crazy. It's a brand new show, and they're already going nuts on it.
I noticed, by the way, this thing right here. This when you go to channels and you go to like Conspiracy Social Club, it's not been updated in that feed right there.
Yeah, I know. I got to. I gotta link it. Yeah, I'll talk to them about that. Thank you, Johnny, for that. Johnny, would you like to promote anything?
Yeah, check me out on Instagram, I guess. Johnny A. Woodard, Broken Sim. We're gonna be doing a live Broken Sim on Friday night.
Live
Friday
Broken
night.
Sim.
Come join us. We'll have it. I'll set up the stream probably tomorrow. And yeah, you just subscribe to Sam Tripoli on YouTube. We're nearing 100, and I will see if they'll let him actually hit 150,000 subs. Let's see where we are now. We were so close. We're at 149,000. I say.
Oh wow!
Yeah, 149,000 exactly. Is it really? It says 149,000 subscribers exactly.
Yeah, come on, dude. Let Daddy dance. Let Daddy dance.
149,217. So we need fewer than 800 subscribers to get to 100.
Subscribe. Get in it to win it. Yes, let's go.
It's hard to search for, so youtube.com/Sam Tripoli is where you want to
go. Do it. All right, dude. Enjoy these highlights.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim.
Hot topics.
As of this will go out Wednesday morning, but as of this exact moment, the 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico just took effect.
Ah, damn, dude. Damn.
The stock market did not like it today.
Yeah, it's buckle up, Buttercup. It's about to get weird.
But we had Honda announcing, it was sourced today. It was reported today that Honda is going to start making the new Civic EV, I think, hybrid Civic, which was going to be in Mexico, is going to be made in America now.
Good. Bring more back. Have humans build it.
Taiwan Semiconductor is going to invest $100 billion in the United States. That's a new thing.
I tried to buy some stuff at the airport yesterday. Nobody at the cash register, only self-checkout. I'm like, guys, you're killing yourself. Get over it. The only time I do self-checkout, Johnny, is if the line's out the door to the human cash register. That's it.
How did you get there from what we were just talking about?
Jobs.
Oh,
jobs.
Okay. Yeah. Jobs. I mean, you can forget about checkout people. That's over, dude. Those jobs are gone.
We got to have jobs for people.
Well, they'll be stocking shelves for a while until that robot that
Johnny
that Elon is working on, until that robot can stack shelves and stops attacking people in China. Yeah, I mean, then no jobs for people. No jobs.
You don't think that was done on purpose? Just to cause chaos?
Probably. Yeah, well, yeah, probably.
Nothing's real, Johnny. You know that.
I mean, honestly, I think it was like probably a malfunction. The thing just fell or something, but it's just scary to watch it kind of move like a human.
Yeah, what's scary is those robot dogs.
Yeah, which they've had those forever, dude.
Yeah.
What's scary is when you put an AI in a robot dog. Now that's scary.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That freaks me out. But yeah, the tariffs, that's an official thing. And then Trump also announced the strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is, you got Peter Schiff, who's, one of the loudest critics of crypto altogether.
Of course.
He's a gold guy. He tweeted that Donald Trump, the first crypto president, just helped pull off the biggest crypto rug pull of all time. A congressional investigation is now warranted to find out the following regarding this pump and dump scheme. Who authored the 2 Sunday afternoon posts?
Is he wrong?
On the president's thing. What do you think?
I mean, dude, so his buddy buys a bunch. He makes an announcement. Guy sells it all. Then it just goes. I mean, dude, here's the whole thing. You can you can go, hey, Trump's doing some good stuff, while at the same time believe that Biden was the worst president we've ever had.
Totally.
You can hold both of those.
Yeah, it's a low bar to clear for Trump.
Yeah,
who knew about the first post in advance, and when were they first informed of the wording of the post and the timing of its release? How much money those with advance notice spent buying XRP, Solana, Bitcoin, ETH, Cardano, and if they sold, the exact timing of those sales and the proceeds received. We also need all the emails or text messages that involved any members of the president's staff, his or their families or friends, his campaign donors, or Truth Social employees. Jeez, that relate to either of the two Sunday Truth Social posts. First of all,
Good luck.
If they put any of that in a text or an email, they deserve what's coming to them. They would never have done that. They're not that stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it crypto pumped, and now it's gone back. It's gone back to where it was. Like as of right now, Bitcoin is back at like 83 right now. I think something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, dude, I can't believe corrupt people aren't fixing corruption. It's very crazy to me.
Isn't that funny?
It's very weird.
Yeah,
I don't even know. So, Johnny, is that our hot topic?
Yeah, I think those are the hot topics.
Well, how about
tariffs finally happened?
Can we get into some Shane Gillis? I know we can't show
SNL?
anything because SNL can suck a fat one.
Well, I want to give my take because I'm curious what you thought about it, but I'll just tell you briefly, and then I'll let you run.
I'm listening.
I thought that they had the best setup for a sketch to open SNL with maybe ever, and they completely flubbed it.
And which one was it?
The opening sketch with the Zelensky and Trump in the Oval Office.
Oh yeah,
and they just but here's the thing though: is it impossible to do that because the thing that happened is so insane, like so over the top already that to top that, is impossible.
No, I don't. They have listen. Saturday Night Live will always be like just a brand of the past if it refuses to make fun of the left. Yeah. You have to make fun of the left. There's a million things to make fun of Zelensky about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
His coke problem, his dancing with his titties out.
Yes.
Like you could do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to have the good-looking guy play. It all is so dumb.
Like they did with Biden, having Jim Carrey look so cool with the aviators.
Yeah, and then it totally. You remember when Biden was running and Jim Carrey played him, and he played him as like this Super Saiyan guy, and it just died because it's not common sense.
It died on his ass with the funniest guy on the planet possibly playing
just
Joe Biden.
Ate it, dude.
Yeah.
Ate it, dude. So it's like, yeah, man. I mean, like you gotta make fun of the other side, and like the fact that we live in a world that is so worried about blackface and so worried about cultural appropriation, and you have an Asian guy playing a white dude is hilarious to me because I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It's okay. I don't mind it. Okay, if you want to get a gay Asian to play,
that guy's funny too.
He's funny. He's funny. Okay, but you've set the standard of what the rule is.
They blew it. Yeah, they blew it with that sketch, and that was. I mean, everybody was tuning in. I bet their ratings were great for that because everybody, as soon as they saw that, they were like, "Oh, SNL, this is going to be." And then they didn't find any humor in Zelensky. They refused to find the humor.
Yeah, I mean, like. People are emotionally captured right now, and it's crazy to watch these people, and it's always rich kids. It's always rich kids. They're always on the wrong side of the situation because this doesn't affect them.
It also doesn't help them that they had maybe the best Trump impressionist alive in the room that night, and he wasn't playing Donald Trump.
I'm going to say something. I think a Trump and Shane Gillis is amazing. I gotta say this because there's a bunch of comics out there like
he's really
not a
good
bunch,
to me. I think does the best Trump.
I think he's great.
Shane Gillis.
I think I think Trump impression is a cheat code. I did a little bit at my show this weekend.
It's easy.
Place went nuts.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I did one for my girl the other day, and she loved it.
But I love it. He did he did a hilarious joke about asking your girlfriend if she's banged black guys before.
Oh, that was so funny.
That is so
dude.
funny.
The room did not like it. Did you know?
I thought it was great.
Like he kept commenting, like I'm dying here.
No, I mean, something happened with the microphone. They handed in the microphone. I don't even know what happened. The band looked like it was laughing more this time.
Did you know there's like a pocket-sized person in the band now? Like this tiny little woman? I thought it was a girl at first, like a 9-year-old or something, but it's just... Did you notice her? Oh.
No.
I know. I watched the black guys very closely during that joke, and they kind of enjoyed it.
Well,
but you know,
because, it's just like they're not getting used to being made fun of. But I'm sorry, dude. It's the best time ever. Everybody gets made fun of.
The ball's on him, though, going up there doing that.
I do have that joke going, what can I say that will, be crazy right now?
Dude, it was... Props to Shane Gillis, dude. They should have had him on that cast. I mean, that was such a mistake.
No, but it helped him out.
Oh, no, for sure. It probably did. But,
I was talking to Leonardo over this way. I go, Leonardo, who would you rather be, you or me? You're getting millions of views on your video, and every time you get canceled, you get bigger. You know? I mean, who'd you rather be? I can't get canceled.
Yeah, I mean, I told you last week I'd choose, for her, to be her, for sure, in that position, yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. So I thought it was great. I thought it's just crazy to me because, like, Saturday Night Live is getting better. Like, it's for some reason, when Shane Gillis is on, they're like, let's get risque, right? Right? I mean, I don't watch Saturday Night Live enough, but it seems like they do more of the risky shit, which they always label as like, oh, frat boy. It's like, it's funny. It's funny shit.
Which he got killed in the press. The press did not like it. Yeah, obviously.
He's a monologue or the sketches?
All of it, I guess. Like Vanity Fair wrote, Shane Gillis bombs on return to SNL. The comedian's monologue lurched from Trump jokes to date rape jokes without a single one landing, is what they said. But Mike Myers as Elon Musk saved an otherwise rough episode.
And he bombed.
That was terrible.
His Botox was so uncomfortable to look at. Like, dude, stop it. You can't move your face.
Has he been playing Elon a lot?
No, he's just desperate to get back on because he needs something to get going because he hasn't been around for a while.
Yeah. George Bush hate black people.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, subscribe to Broken Simulation in your podcasting app or check us out at youtube.com/SamTripoli.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hack.